Yeah, look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's on, I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know. What? Mission, go. Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the brakes and the pit stop. Race through the gridlock, take it like Chris Rock. Right to the chin, still win. Heavy metals like Slipknot. Got the driving, I got tunnel vision. I just hit my stride the way I run the business. I've been making paper like I'm Dunder Mifflin. See the end game, I got one division. Look, I don't ever bother with a critic. Hit him with a chronicle of Riddick. Boom, bottle full of Ritalin. I hit him with a little bit of riddle me this, riddle me that. My bad, fell asleep at the gas. No time to wait though. Elon Musk, I'm trying to bankroll. New Tesla just cause I say so. Electric whip like Ivan Van Gogh. I just did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know, I've been on it.
GM, drop us a GM in the chat down below. Give us some love on the space. It's linked up above all the way to the right. Those likes, reposts, and bookmarks are greatly appreciated. And no one can see your likes anyways, at least till Elon brings it back next week. It's going to be hilarious. Like, that is programmed. It's guaranteed to happen. But until then, go give us a like. No one can see it. We'll get started here in about 30 seconds.
Memphis erbij en ik jaag op de koet in de scene. Moest eigenlijk rennen, we lopen misschien. En ik wil niet eens kijken, mijn ogen die zien. En serie niet genoeg dat ik kopen we 10. Proef in de beam. Hier co-star. I got 5 for my name, I got no star. Come to me just to see how my shows are. Yeah.
They said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know, I've been on a mission, go. Okay, let's get it.
This episode is brought to you by DGen Network, the only community-based Web3 media network, bringing you the very best content in the NFT and cryptocurrency space. Please visit dgen.network and check out our other great shows. That's DGen, DGEN .network.
Welcome to the future.
Check. 1, 2, check. Cats. That's definitely the cats. So no one heard any of my voice until just now. Is that right?
No, I heard you the whole time.
Oh, you did? Okay. It was just, I wasn't getting my own audio in my own ears. Cats. I will blame the cats. No one knows any. So there was all kinds of errors on my end. No one caught them, but I just shared them all with you. Such is life sometimes in the day of a Spaces host. GM, everyone. I'm Cap, joined by my co-host, Steve. We're going to have some fun this morning. Unlike Martin Skrellick, we will not give any financial advice. We won't usher you into a meme coin that 67% of the tokens are held by our friends and claim it's started by the president's or the former president's son. None of that. Skrellick's going back to jail. It looks pretty likely. Zach XBT leveled up his game last night pretty quickly, and we may or may not get into that this morning. I really don't care to talk DJT or Martin or any of that nonsense, but part of my cold open, Steve, I have to pay some homage this morning, some mad respects for a fellow content creator. By the way, if you haven't done so, give us a GM in the chat. I'm going to make a confession here in a few seconds, so please get some more people in here to hear this awful confession I have. The space all the way to the right, those likes, reposts, bookmarks are appreciated, as is the combo in the chat down below. If you haven't hit the reminders for tomorrow and Friday, go hit those. We've got a special guest each day that we'd love to have a full room for, so appreciate those reminders up top. But my confession, Steve, I've been farming Blast from the jump, right?
Yeah.
I just saw Legendary put out a post. Legendary host, one of the co-hosts of Modern Market, put out a post. He has just completed 10,000 transactions on Blast. By itself, that would be impressive. The more impressive feat is he has done it with a ledger. Now, that's proper. That's how you should be doing this. But my confession, and I just thought everyone kind of did this. So I've been raw dogging Blast this whole time. Like it blows my mind to and I've not done. I probably haven't even broken 1,000 transactions over there. I don't know. I'd have to look, but I know it's a fraction of what Legendary has done. I can't fathom using a hardware wallet for each of those transactions. And this guy's been over there grinding about as much as anyone has grinded the Blast farm and been doing every single transaction on a ledger. I just told him, I said, I hope we can get him hooked up with Grid Plus, because I said, this is like 10,000 transactions on a ledger, 10,000 farming transactions on a ledger without a sponsor is like a NASCAR driver racing without sponsors. So Grid Plus, Justin, if you're listening in, you got to hook up my guy Legendary. It would be probably your best KOL influencer, wallet endorser, ambassador of all time. 10,000. I don't know why it was such a mind blowing number for me, but I can't imagine clicking those buttons, because it's not clicking the buttons 10,000 times either. It's like he's put in some wear and tear on that little jump drive.
Yeah, I could not. I use a sort of a hot wallet to do everything I do on Blast, and I am not a big Blast store. I'm not really super deep in the ecosystem. Again, give us a like, a retweet, a comment down below. Got a lot to I think a lot of stuff to cover this morning. Like you said, high level, we probably want to hit the DJT stuff just because I think it's relevant to the market and educating people as to what's going on here as we keep moving in toward, because we are just getting started. If we are on track, you were saying yesterday, if we're on track for a bull market in 2025 at the beginning, potentially, if that's how the cycle works, we still have a lot of ramp up to go, and it's going to get a lot sillier. So I'm sure we'll talk about some of the things to be keeping an eye out for, one of which is software. And ironically, we're having a sort of a hard wallet company on tomorrow, actually, in Arculus. So we're going to talk about that. I know I'm going to play around with mine a little bit more today. We're going to give a couple of away tomorrow.
How bad did I fumble that? How bad was it? All I had to, I picked a hardware wallet randomly. Shout out to Grid Plus. They have helped us out in the past. But forgetting that we had another hardware wallet provider coming on tomorrow, I had the layup of all layups of connecting two dots there, and I fumbled that pretty hard.
Yeah, it was someone we met at Consensus that we had a conversation, and we're like, wow, that feels much more consumer friendly than a little drive that you could lose that sometimes is charged and sometimes works, and approve here, approve there, which again, the security, part of the reason of a hardware wallet is the complex, annoying nature of it is actually good. I remember at one point my Ledger was I had to open Ledger Live and I had to connect through this, bridge, but the bridge wasn't connecting, so I had to manually do it. All these complicated things. And I was like, if I can't rob myself, then nobody can rob me. So this hardware wallet rocks. So, in that case, when I was protecting a very, expensive ape, it was great. Now I'm protecting a far less expensive ape as it continues to absolutely dive along with other NFTs.
On this topic, though, Steve, I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just me. For weeks now, and I'm not doom and gloom. I'm not I'm much more, even though I've been saying I'm short-term bearish, because to our friend Crocs, who calls me the perma bull, I've been short-term bearish for a while. Just it felt uneasy for days, weeks, maybe month plus. I saw no hope. The confidence I had in the NFT market in the short term was very, very little. Knowing that, I guess, fully expecting the CBB and the farmers to pull their bids at the end of this season and expecting carnage. So just knowing this was coming, I have not felt great about the ETH NFT market, NFTs in general, for a while. I woke up this morning. It was I feel like a 10,000 pound weight's off my shoulders. I even though they're down, and I don't think the bottom's in, I think we still have a ways to go. This had to happen. And until it happened, there was no chance I was making any decent plays. I feel we're a lot closer to a actual bottom, an actual reset, in a rebuild. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe my thesis is wrong. I just don't think we're over forever. I stand by what I've said before. I think there is going to be another run. I think there is going to be massive consolidation this time. It'll look vastly different than the last time. And I feel we had to go through this to get there. And we're not done yet. But I just woke up this morning, despite floors being down tremendously from where they were a week ago. It's the best I felt about the state of the market in a very long time. And I know that probably sounds crazy because we're not there yet. I just think we're so much closer to where we needed to get to before we can actually have a real sustainable rebuild.
Yeah, no, I don't feel the same. So I'm again, this is part of the psychology, and I'm just honest about the psychology that's going on in my mind. Sometimes you actively fight against it. For example, I've created mechanisms to actively fight against the market majors psychology, because there came a period of time when I stopped or didn't dollar cost average into ETH, Bitcoin, Solana, Chainlink, which are my 3 favorites. Again, or 4 favorites. Again, not financial advice. We say it at the top of the show. You never know what's going to happen with these things. We'll talk maybe a little ETH ETF stuff here in a bit. Some under the radar, pretty big news related to Ethereum in general as it relates to the regulatory environment we can get into. Again, like, retweet, comment the room. Slow morning start, so we'd appreciate any love getting in here. Hit us with those GMs in the chat. I see y'all out there. Dow Jones is always in some exotic location when he comes to us. Von Front and GM, DNFT GM, Riz Bryan every friggin' day. Joey Vowles, always good to see you. Again, congrats on another drop yesterday. Looking forward to my reveal today. Another big drop today for Colony, by the way. I got a video.
What's today?
See, I shouldn't have told you, because now I'm going to be competing with you. 2:00 today, Colony has only 50, so it's going to go very quickly. Basketball cards. There are a couple of Michael Jordans in there. I'd love to get my hands on those. I've already started tossing offers out on basketball cards, on Shaqs and other ones like that. So I'm hoping to get some. But basketball card dropped today. Exciting for them. I have my 2 reveals happening today for my Pokemon cards, which is really exciting as well. I actually have a Colony video I filmed yesterday that I'm going to toss out today as well. So just to educate people on what the platform is, because we had some people yesterday hit me with some DMs, some questions about what the Colony was. And, we talked about it a little bit on the show yesterday when I was doing the packs. We even had someone in the chat saying, what's this Colony thing you're talking about? So I know you replied to that one. So looking forward to that today. So that's happening today as well. But I always want to be honest about my psychology of where the market is. And go ahead, Cap.
No, sorry to interject. I love this because I feel like you and I are on polar opposite ends of how we're personally feeling. I can't explain it, Steve. I woke up this morning, I saw the floors, I was like, it was like a sigh instead of, oh shit moment. And I haven't had, I felt like there was like this holding against something that was inevitably about to crash, and it finally crashed. And it may not be done crashing, but everything in me, I might have wanted to fight it, but I knew this had to happen, and it finally happened. And maybe we find ourselves back in the same spot next blur season, but I don't know, man. I feel hope. I don't know what's next, but I have hope that it's not incentivized bidding that we've been living in for the last year or so.
Yeah, I have less hope, and here's the following. And again, this is not me saying that Cap is wrong. What we try to do on this show is we try to be honest. I don't want to posture and pretend I'm not going through it. If I'm going through a tough time in my life, I'm probably going to talk about it, even at a high level.
I didn't talk about it, so.
But with the mindset, it's like on the business end of things, I think we're as happy as ever. We had some good conversations yesterday. Potentially closed a sponsor.
Steve slaying deals behind the scenes.
Yeah, I not only did I'm actually, this is one of the things, just while we're in cold open stuff, I love about collaborators that you pick to work with are so important. And it's something I didn't realize until I started talking to Scott more, because he lives outside the Matrix. My co-author, he's a brilliant guy, Harvard professor, just literally, not hyperbole, smartest person I've ever met in my life. And when I listen to Scott, he talks about the importance of his collaborators, and he always likes working alongside, collaborating with other people. And, him and I work really well together. Cap and I work really well together. And I realize I am somebody who, I am not going to be a Gary Vaynerchuk solo entrepreneur who's going out and being I can do it on my own. Not that he says that, but you see him sort of at the top in this way. And I'm more I am enhanced and 10x'd by good collaborators. I found that unlocks. Cap is one of those people for me, not just with this show, but with business in general. And, I was not somebody who spun up deals, shot my shot, thought about negotiating. And in the past, basically a few months, Cap went full-time into Web3, gave me a little bit of a nudge in how I was doing things. I've been observing him, whether he knows it or not, for the past 3 years, and how he operates with various deals and things. And one of them, I had a conversation with somebody who reached out to me, and normally I would not ask, when they're like, hey, is there anything I can do for you? Because I'm helping them with something. And I was like, you have a great company. We truly believe in it, and I kind of mentioned the idea of sponsorship and what that might look like. And it's looking like we like closed that one deal, and it was a company that makes sense for us. Another one, I like wrote up a proposal that we're working on with. So it's like,
look. I don't. This may not happen. I don't want to jinx this, Steve. And this is just we've kind of talked about it, but not directly. So just fully transparent here. We've like I set like a target. I've got about till the end of the year to get myself in position to like. Do I need to go do something else, or can we make it go? Can we make this our career? This being the show and working with others in the space. While I'm an optimistic individual, and I certainly am going to give that my all, it was like in my head, like just candidly, Steve, I've been like 50-50. Like I'm going to give it my all, and if we don't get there, I'm perfectly fine with that. It's not like we're going to stop doing what we're doing. It just means that I may not be able to. I may have to do some other things from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. that may not be my first choice, and that's okay. Over the last few weeks, like I've now reached the point I'll be disappointed if we don't make it, because I feel like it's the path to that point is become very clear to me. And I just want to double down what you said. I don't think we get there, or I don't get there if it's just me. Like to your point of collaborators and working together. And it's part of what, not to get all cheesy, but this is part of what attracted me to Web3 in the beginning is I'm not going to single out any specific collection or any community. Whether you believe it or not, there's a lot of builders in this space, proportionate to builders in the rest of the world, proportionate to the general population. I interact with a lot of people, soccer parents and others, and successful individuals. My daughter goes to a private school, and most of her friends drive nicer cars than I do. Like they're individuals that have done very well for themselves. They've had success in their lives, but it's just like it's different. It's not someone like, oh, this is someone that I would like to work with or build something with. So many people in this space I come across, and it's like, yeah, let me help. How can I help? Or how can I get involved? And to me, there is something real in the power. Like this is a space that really leans into the 1 + 1 = 3 mentality. There's really something to be said for synergies here in network effects. And those network effects can start with just two people. So yeah, sorry to interject and cut you off there, but just double tapping on everything you're saying. And my point, my biggest point is like, I now see very clear the path to us doing this. And this isn't like, oh, look at us. This is like, I'm grateful because this is like my dream life. Like, this is what I truly want to do. I don't consider anything we're doing work. Like this is stuff I'm enjoying. And the fact that we're able to get paid a little bit for it. Just grateful for you and all that you've done for us.
No, it's so true. And like something Cap does extremely well is like we'll be on the phone and I don't even think it's like consciously something you do on purpose, but like it always is like something that gives me a little bit of motivation where it's like you say like, I don't see any reason why. And you'll like make a big like hyperbolic statement, almost not even hyperbolic, but feel sometimes something I wouldn't say. We're like, well, we'll be talking about something. You're like, I don't see why we can't do 3 or 4 of these. I don't see why we can't do this, or I don't see why we wouldn't be able to blank. And like, those things are like, you know what? Like even like the plan we discussed about one of the potential clients we're working with yesterday about how it could be really, really big if we work with the right partners for them. And we're like talking about what it could be. And it's almost like thinking and getting it into existence, changing your password to being like full-time Web3 buy, right? May, 2024, like those things resonate. And like, so it makes a difference. And, so I'm excited because like, yeah, like, and to be clear, it's not even about, to me, and I don't think you either, about like driving the nice car or this, that, and the other. Although I do love even though it's a Model 3, so it's the lower end, quote unquote, of a Tesla. Like I do enjoy my car at the moment. It's the first car I've really gotten excited about. But like, it's not about that as much as it's about spending each day waking. Like entrepreneurship is not about getting rich. It can be for some people. I am certainly not there. Cap is not there. We're working on it. Entrepreneurship is about waking up and doing the thing you like every day, talking to your friends on an X space, covering the news of the day in an industry you love, and then getting to go out and do the things you truly enjoy. And right now, for me, that is the goal and the pursuit that we are on. So, so I think for me, like collaborators always level me up in various ways. And I think, I have leveled up in that way and it makes me excited. And it's gotten me better at something that I had accepted that I wasn't good at. And while I'm still not going to be world class at it, it gets me to be better at it. So, something that's really exciting for me. But Joey Val, I saw your hand.
Seems like I'm not good at negotiating or doing any of these biz dev deals, and yet here I am learning tips and actual tactics from him.
Yeah, that was a fun one yesterday that we covered. But no, yeah. So I think that's kind of my my takeaway. But Joey Val, go ahead and get in here.
Yeah, I love what you guys are talking about, that entrepreneurship grind and like what it takes. I got a text message from GT yesterday, because we're friends outside of this space, and he just was like, "Hey, I want to check in on you. I want to check on the pregnancy. Like, how are things going? I'm always praying for you guys." And he was like, "How is it?" And I was like, "It's great. I mean, I'm busier than I've ever been in my life, making less money than I've ever made, but I'm so happy." And that's kind of like it really does for me describe what like that entrepreneurship grind is. Like, I've made a decision to build the colony and probably work more hours than I would if I just took a job that paid me twice as much. But because I believe in what we're building and because I have that entrepreneurial spirit, I'm much happier doing this than I would be, let's say, working some corporate job making 200 grand a year where I'm like tied to my computer from 9 to 5, because if I'm not there, they're going to ask why my mouse hasn't moved or some bullshit like that.
Do you see Wells Fargo followed a bunch of people for the mouse jigglers?
Yes, I saw that. It was that was like one of the funniest things, that like there was they caught all these people like faking working, and they fired them all. But yeah, so like what you guys are saying,
Steve was like 30 years ahead of this trend, by the way.
Oh yeah,
it's funny.
yeah. There are ways to there are softwares for that. Keep going, Joey. Keep going.
No, but like and I'm literally sitting in my cold plunge on my back patio with my kids eating their breakfast with my wife because it's beautiful outside, talking on an X Spaces at 8:22, when maybe like 3 years ago or 4 years ago I'd be sitting in traffic on the way to work right now. And yeah, it's tough. And yeah, there's some nights where I have to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning to do something for the team or whatever it is. But it doesn't matter, because this is what makes me happy. And I would rather be happy and have to struggle. Like Gary Vee says this all the time, right? He's like, just because you have like a job doesn't mean that you shouldn't like work in the middle of the night or whatever to achieve your goals, right? Like you have to struggle, and you have to struggle, and you have to put in the time so that way you could reap the rewards later, right? Like, isn't there some saying where like the best rewards taste better when you work harder or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, like it's like the idea of like, and not, this isn't the exact phrase, but it's like the idea that like when you earn something, it feels great. When you work really hard to get somewhere or do something, it's so much better than if it's like handed to you. And it's why in the entrepreneurship journey, there are so many twists, turns, things that are just absolutely just brutal, but that's also part of the journey. And it's like, again, one of my favorite quotes I remember, seeing years ago was, "You have to climb the mountain if you want to see the view," which is something that, I look at that and I go, yes, like that is what it's all about. It's sometimes you need to go through the grind in order to get there. And that's okay. Like, it's not always going to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It's about, being the person. And that's one of the reasons why, again, like a lot of years I would listen to people like Gary Vaynerchuk and other entrepreneurs and people on Instagram, and I would say like, oh, I get it, but I didn't get it till I did it. And that's not to say you can't. I'm sure some people do get it without having to actually, practice it or go through it. But at least for me, like, I hear things about like optimizing your time and realizing like, yes, I can't just take every meeting. Sometimes I need to optimize my time because you eat what you kill. And I also think the idea that, I've read people say like, you better be really passionate about the thing that you want to do, because if you're an entrepreneur or if you're doing it full time, like you're going to have to say like, it's the thing I want to wake up in 3 a.m. to do, like you said, or it's the thing that like people talk about our consistency, on Coffee with Captain. I don't think twice about getting up and doing the show. When I was like really sick and my wife got the same thing I had after consensus, and I showed up here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all hacking my guts out, going on mute to cough and all these other things, it's not like, oh my God, what are you doing? Are you okay? Why are you showing up? You should take the day off. It's like, you just showed up. My wife's like, I can't believe you did that. And my answer was like, it was never a thought that I wouldn't. And like, when you have that, you're doing the right thing versus, just lining up and saying, oh yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur because I want to be rich. That can't be your motivation. Your motivation has to be me sitting there filming a video about the colony yesterday and grabbing B-roll because I love it, because I enjoy it, not because I'm trying to make money off it, because I'm not being paid to do the video. It's not like a paid opportunity. It's just me doing something because I'm into it. So yeah, so that's I think that's what it is, Joey.
Yeah, for those, I kind of said something yesterday on the Spaces, and then because I wasn't allowed to say anything, and then we announced it yesterday, and like those are the like that's why. And
Dude, we got to hit on this. This is a huge win. I think this is major. I completely forgot. Please pin it up above and let's hit on this for a minute. And this will actually be a good segue into Pudgy maybe.
Okay, so yesterday
we'll get you in here, Sheba. Thanks for your patience.
Yesterday we announced. So for those who don't know, there's a guy named Spencer Ventures, and he's one of or the largest Pudgy Penguin holder, and he's the first person to license the Pudgy IP through Project Overpass, I believe. And not just like his Pudgy was accepted, like licensing other Pudgies
to another. This is to another entity, right? Not Pudgy HQ, or am I incorrect?
Correct. So his company Orange Cap Games licensed through Project Overpass like over 100 Pudgy Penguins to utilize in their Pudgy TCG that's coming out the end of this year. There's going to be a physical, from what we know so far, there's going to be a physical and a digital component. We're actually going to host them on our spaces, our colony spaces next Tuesday to talk about it further. But it's what we're doing with them is they're releasing booster boxes. So for those that aren't to the trading card, booster boxes are essentially like a big box of cards. You get a bunch of packs and a bunch of cards within each pack. So we're doing the first pre-sale for their booster boxes on the colony. And the way it's going to work is you'll be able to purchase pre-sale these booster boxes, and then you'll get an NFT placeholder for them. When the boxes come out of production, they'll all be shipped into our vault, which is the Brinks vault, and you'll then have an option to either redeem the physical booster box and open up your packs and blah, 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 or you'll be able to just buy and sell those boosters.
Is it possible, will it be possible to have someone on your team break the boxes for me so I know what's in the pack without having to take possession of them, or no?
So those are like logistics and things we haven't discussed yet, because obviously we don't have,
like, just from an idea, like if you guys did that, I could see myself getting into the card flipping game. Like we were talking yesterday about these artifact sneakers. Like, I'm going to sell them because they're like a 5X, but I really don't want to take possession of them. And therefore that little bit of friction, I'm such a diva. I don't want to deal with flipping physical items. I love this model you're building. And I'm seeing the path to like all of like the 2021 NFT class. We're going to I could see us overtaking the traditional flippers, the sneakerheads, the cardboard collectors, this is just so much better of a model for those that are in that space, to where it's like got me wanting to enter a whole new space and compete with these people because of the infrastructure that you're all building.
And per Joe O'Rourke in the War Room, before Joey responds, he shared a Collect Media survey. 94% of Gen Z and millennials are interested in collectibles, and I see it. By the way, I am starting to do with, and I don't think this is a bad thing. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I am starting to do with Colony what I did with NFTs in 2021. Like Cap talks about the Top Shot real world asset thing. I am fucking loving building an RWA collection on the Colony, and especially bringing in basketball cards and now Pudgy. It's like it's almost very NFT-esque in the sense that I am now going to have a full set of collectibles that I'm excited about, that I'm proud of. And so
it's quite literally the best of both worlds. It's the best of the digital collectible space combined with the best of the physical collectible space and leveraging the benefits of both. Like it's taking the pros of both and eliminating the cons of both.
Absolutely. Joey, keep getting,
Yeah.
let you continue. Go ahead.
It's so you'll get, once they release the booster boxes, you'll have the option. So we talked about this with Artifact yesterday. Like if we were around when Artifact did this, we would have obviously tried to reach out to them and say, hey, instead of shipping these shoes to every single individual, right? Like logistically. Now, granted, they work with Nike, so it's probably not like that big of a deal or whatever. But, you know, for projects that don't have the distribution channels and shipping like Nike, right? We could easily replicate this model where if you came out with a physical that was a limited release collectible, all you have to do is from production, ship it directly to our vault. So one bulk shipment. And then once they're in the vault, your holders or your purchasers can then just say, you know what? I don't really care. Like Cap saying, I don't care about these 5 pairs of Artifact sneakers. I want to resell them. Cap can then just easily resell the digital twin, quote unquote, NFT of those sneakers. And then the individual
can I be your guinea pig on that? Can I send you one of my pairs to vault? And when I get them, I got the shipping. Yeah. 3 of my 5 are on the way. So once I get one, I'll ship it to you and we can vault it.
Yeah, we've already had multiple people in the Discord and in like XDMs like wanting to send us their Artifact sneakers. Like this has been in conversations for probably like 2 months now with the Artifact sneakers going into our vault and on our marketplace. So Pratik is the chief of product. The dude is amazing, like absolutely amazing. So we're slowly onboarding new categories onto the platform, and I envision a future where Artifact sneakers could be the next category. We just have to make sure, like, you know, they're legit and blah, 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 and all that stuff like that. But yeah, I'm totally down to do this with the Artifact sneakers. But I mean, this is a huge partnership for us just because it shows the legitimacy of our platform, but then also because we're basically creating a new pre-sale model that will solve tons of logistical problems for people that want to release limited physical items. And to your point, Steve, like and to Cap's point, like people hate dealing with logistics. Like it's so much easier if you don't have to take it to the post office or UPS or right. Like we're just trying to make things simpler.
It is an absolute barrier to entry. I mean, this is a very probably lame example like to use, but I'll throw it out there. Like, you know, I have a couple people that I am signing books for at the moment that I want to get them to, that gave me some addresses, and I have been too lazy to go to the post office and send them. It's not a long drive. It's not like a thing. Like, now the post office people can be a little bit less than easy to deal with at times. So like that's obviously plays into my calculus a little bit. But like, it's just, you know, the fact that is a concern of mine and that has been a barrier to entry. But it's like, to your point about the, your point about the Artifact sneakers, it's like I ordered 2 pairs. The white on white, I'm probably not going to wear. I'm not super into. I don't really like the look necessarily as much. We'll see when I look at them. But like, I don't know. I'm going to wear the voids. But like, again, setting in one, getting it vaulted, that works. And your point about the pre-sale model is really interesting. And yeah, like it feels like a different and better way to do things. Although again, like I just kind of showed the Colony platform today. This is a whole nother, tweet, video, etc. that we're talking about now. But I think there's like, I don't know. I think there's a lot there into what y'all are working on, and I'm excited about it. And I'm excited. I think there's like so many like opportunities, even with like content creation and things you can do around these with the breaks and how you do the pre-sales. And there could be an entire like almost like media platform, so to speak.
Oh, so you mean Shoptainment? You mean creating a platform that where individuals can sell their items live on streams?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's what Shoptainment. I've never heard that. That's a great way of putting it.
So Shoptainment is actually massive over in Asia. So in countries like China and Japan, they literally have warehouses that are sectioned off into like little mini cubicles, essentially, where influencers, not even influencers, but where individuals are paid to get on streams and literally be like, look at this shirt, it's beautiful, buy it. Look at these shoes, they're beautiful, buy it. Look at this belt, like literally that fast. They're just throwing stuff across the screen like a QVC model. and it's massive over in Asia. And if you're not in our Discord, obviously you can join. And then there's a video also on our X where Andrea did her 5-minute presentation at New York Tech Week. And she talked about the future of our platform, which is Shoptainment. Like, we plan on implementing live streaming onto our platform for people to create content, to do breaks, to do all of that stuff. Like, it's on the roadmap. It's, that's our goal, is to build this platform. Like Elon he wants X to be the all-in-one. We want the Colony to be the all-in-one for collectors, resellers, and things like that.
Well, if you need an endearing, I would just shamelessly do this. If you need an endearing, likable host to bring on with the collectible people, I know somebody with an orange profile picture background who would be, potentially good to hire for such a thing. That would be enjoy doing live streams with people for Shoptainment. So just throwing it out there. If there is an orange profile picture with a face on it around here, this sort of stuff sounds like
Bitcoin
super fun.
Bitcoin Steve.
It is very Bitcoin-esque. I didn't really think about it that way, but it is kind of like a Pizza Ninja background, like I'm an IRL Pizza Ninja. But no, this is cool. And congratulations on the deal. This is a very fascinating model. And I think the other thing that I want to put a double stamp on, and then Shiba will let you get in here on any of the topics we've covered so far. But I think it's important to build on top of. One of the things that I find really, I would say, important about what the Colony is doing, when I look at the team and what you're doing, is the idea that you are actually trying to reward collectors and community. And I've said about this before, and I'm not just trying to glaze Joey and the Colony, because I really people know how it is. I've talked about, Pirate Nation forever on here when I was making no money off it, and even told people I don't think there's money to be made, and then suddenly they dropped a token. With Colony, it's I love the fact that they're on blast where a lot of people are doing bidding, and they change the bidding system in a way so that you have to be close to fair market value to get the leaderboard points, which is how you get the gold, which, for a lot of people, they would say, why would you do that? You're going to lose money as a platform by not having more money traded on there and more interest and whatever. But they're trying to build a collectible platform. And then, similarly, that dropped where I was able to get 2+ EV cards in. It was I was on a live stream with Docs and Wizard, revealing his One Piece cards with 20 other people. And it's surprise, we're going to having a drop 2 per person. It was the most casual drop that we've been a part of for the Colony. So rewarding community, actually paying attention to the collectors and not just trying to create sort of a Ponzi. I think that to me was incredibly bullish, because I think a lot of people don't think of it that way. So just giving flowers where flowers are due, and excited for you to continue to grow things out as you go. And yeah, the Polygon thing Riggs just put in in the War Room too, probably worth hitting on. I actually have a tweet I'm probably putting out later today on that one as well. But no, very cool, Joey. Happy for y'all, and yeah, very cool. Shiba, we'll go ahead and get in here. I feel free to cover anything we covered, cold open or otherwise, we've gone so far. And I think we'll kind of continue to hit on NFTs. I don't think I finished my thought on NFTs bleeding, the Luca net suspension, maybe DJT, the Polygon. Lot to cover this morning. GM Shiba.
Good morning. Good morning. You guys jumped topic from topic, and then I'm like, fuck, now I'm not going to remember what I wanted to say. But I do remember the entrepreneurship. I don't want to step on for a little bit here. So being somebody who tries to find stuff that's not a job that I hate to make money. I've been doing that since I was a youngin', and it's a good segue into what Joey's working on, like with the cards and that whole field. That's where I started from. I started in garage sales. I started at my parents being like, want to host a garage sale on a driveway, and I'm like, I'll do it. And they're like, you can keep 90% of the money. I'm like, great. So that getting that hustle and just good
parents, by the way. My parents would have been like, go hustle. Cool. Thanks for working for me. You now, so your parents rock.
My parents both my parents had really good jobs in the 90s, and they thought they were going to be set for life, but rip inflation. But it was really nice to learn those lessons and then move forward into gaming. I went into Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! I've traded all those cards. I became a small vendor for those cards as I played the games. When I won tournaments and I traveled, I sold those cards I won in the tournaments, like the one out of 100 or 5 out of 100 cards that come out when you win. We used to sell those for a few $100s. So there's just some examples. And then we segue into crypto and NFTs. Obviously, you can't find a job right now in NFTs because it's dead, but there's certain skills that people have, myself just being really vocal on a lot of topics that I know. And if something I don't know, I really try to learn it or at least try to listen. But I encourage people to find something that interests them, dabble into that interest, and then do the research on that stuff. And if it continues to interest you, then you can make that a job and you can make money out of it. I think almost everything I do, I bring in some type of income from it. It could be like a small amount from a game or some time I spend on Twitter. But even if it's $20 or $100, it's something that you're bringing in where you don't have to do the 9 to 5 thing. Fast forward into the Joey thing. That is amazing. I've been waiting to see a project kind of release like a card thing, and Pudgies have infinite room to run with that. That could turn into a game. It could be a collector's item. I'm somebody like card valuation and stuff. I would probably buy a few of these boxes and then keep them sealed, like not open them. I've been in the card game a long time to know over time those usually go up, and especially with this type of stuff, crypto and NFTs, and especially Pudgies, I can only see the value of those cards go. Even if they don't equal a game, even if it's just a collectible item, I feel like they'll still do well, especially out of the Pudgy. So I'm really interested to see how that comes through. Segueing into the bleeding market, I'll throw it up to you, Steve. It's a total shit show, but what are we going to do about it? We can sit here, we could talk about it all we want. We could blame the founders on not releasing information. We could blame the community for not being in the spaces. We could blame the other founders for not collabing. But at this point, we just kind of have to wait until it all stops bleeding and people get interested in NFTs, which is possible. We're still waiting for Bitcoin to do its call here. Is it going to go up? We're going to have a big green candle in the next few days, up 3,000, or are we going to fall back to 60K and maybe fall underneath, and then maybe we can see some life in NFTs. But good morning, everybody. Retweet the space. Good morning to you, Cap. Good morning to you, Joey. That's all I got. What up?
Good stuff. No, I honestly, like, I guess for me, like, the part that I was going to say specifically about the market cap and the mentality, just to touch on that, since Sheba finished it off, good speed round on like everything we covered. That was like a great TLDR and a lot of the stuff we've hit on. But I think for me, like, the thing that I am nervous, and again, on the show, I mentioned this before, we are dead honest. It's not that we're trying to like play a character or, posture or, do like the reason we talk is I could come on here and pretend like all is fine and I feel great and all this stuff. Right now, I find myself feeling nervous. And the truth is, like, my feeling about it in general is I feel like that person right now who held GameStop to the top and said we're going to continue to go, and like GameStop dropped by like a gazillion, percentages, and being like, and I know there's more here than that, but like on a very high level, it feels like sometimes I'm like, oh, it's going to come back. And it's like, it was going to come back when it dropped from, 125 ETH to 100 ETH to 75 ETH. And then it was like, well, it always trades in that $75,000 to $100,000 range. That was the $125,000 range. That was something we always said about Bored Ape Yacht Club, to use the example of sort of the market, sort of leader in a lot of ways. We would always make that commentary for like a period of time. And then it was like, well, it's 50 to 75K. And then every time it drops, we're finding lower lows. And it doesn't change that I love the club. It doesn't change that I feel like I get a ton of value, more value than my ape is worth to sell, right? Like, it is worth more in my hands than it is out of my hands, like in my opinion, in what I'm doing. But it does make me feel sometimes like, man, am I just being sort of fooled here in some ways, where I'm just writing these things down and I keep saying, hey, I think we're going to find a bottom, but the lower lows just keep getting lower. The chart doesn't look very good. And like, it's weird. It's maybe there's a turnaround. I don't know that I care. And it's not that I'm saying like, oh, there has to be a turnaround, it's all about money or anything like that. But I do find myself having those nervous moments. And I think it would be dishonest of me to say otherwise, to say, no, I'm feeling great about the market and I love that we're going down. And Cap, again, I know you are very honestly saying you feel good about the market, as and you're feeling like we are bounding. But that's right.
I don't feeling good about the market. I don't feel that it's done bleeding. I just feel like my nerves.
You're at peace. I should have said you're at peace.
I felt like you feel before they pulled the bids. I was nervous, like, oh, we're going to crash when and I knew we were going to crash when they pulled it. Like, we've seen it play out before. Like, we knew this was going to happen. It was like, what impact is that going to have on the market? What capitulation is that going to cause? while I feel at peace with it, Steve, is I'm not seeing capitulation. I'm not seeing a real shift in sentiment. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Like, there's people like yourself that are like, yeah, I don't know if I really care. Like, yeah, did I, in hindsight, is it easy to say, oh, we should have sold the tops and everything? Sure. But at this point, I think it's almost easier for like to be at peace with the long-term decisions to remain in some of these quote unquote communities and build with respective IP, the lower the price goes, right? It's like there's no, to me, like the decision of like, oh, should I sell this or not? Like for the current prices, why? Like, what's the point? You know, it's like, if anything, we talked about it earlier. If anything, some of these, you know, might be a tax loss harvest type asset come Q4. But outside of that, and you know, if you're still in the black on something, like to me, I don't know. Everyone's in a different spot, and certainly if I got to a point it was down to my last dollars and I needed to, you know, I needed to survive or I needed to support my family, like yeah, I need them all into bids. But fortunately, not at that point. And I see, like, you know, specific to the apes, is the banana bill perfect? No. But what I've seen behind the scenes is a community rallying around a community and kind of pushing back against some quote unquote corporate overlords that have, you know, are splashing around their larger wallets. I see a community that's doubling down on Ape Chain. And will it be a raving success? I don't know. But it's something that is uniting a community, and hundreds of people are talking about things that are happening. Very few are talking about the floor, outside of the few that are throwing it on the timeline because they've made it their entire personality and they realize that like lost porn gets more engagement than anything else, especially if it's Bored Ape Yacht Club lost porn. I don't think that's serious. Like you'll see, like, I'm sure Bunny will have something up today if he hasn't already. That's like his personality. Like I really don't think he's down. I don't think his wife's going to leave him. But if so, he probably should geek the thing into bids. I think that's who he's become. He's realized that's what's getting his Elon bucks, is flooding his own bags. To each their own. I really don't think he's worried about the price any more today than he was probably at 75 grand. Maybe I'm way off, but you use those data points like 70% haven't listed during this whole down run, and you think we're going to sell now? Like, I don't know. Like, no sell shaming if anyone wants out. It's just that thought is not in my head with any of these collections at the moment.
Yeah, no, I again, like I feel that, right. And it's like, I think both can be true, where I also think it could be true that somebody is nervous about being really down and doesn't feel good about it, but it's not like, you know, it still is hyperbole. It's still for the timeline. It's just, again, like just kind of sharing my general sentiment. It's like, you know, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't feeling uneasy about the way the market has trended. And I just feel like, again, we went from what are we minting to what is the ticker to people being all over the place. And I think that the, you know, sort of compartmentalization of people who are, some people are on Blast, some people are on meme coin, some people, all these different things that we see compartmentalizing all over the place has split up the attention. Obviously, blur farmers have driven down prices, but like, it makes me feel like, am I crazy saying these things keep going lower? And I'm like, it's going to rebound. It's going to rebound. And again, it was going to rebound when it was at 100. Then it was going to rebound, like Bored Ape Yacht Club as an example, when it was at, you know, 50 and then 30. And, oh, well, it's not dropping below 20. And now at 8, as we continue to drop, it's just the mentality creeps in. And I just being honest about the psychology, again, not selling, more value to me in my hands, in my opinion, for what I get out of it and being in the club, and the sentimental and collectible value to me personally. But it is something that I understand. But before we go, I saw Frank popped up. I want to go Mackie because Mackie popped up and usually is a hard stop. Then I want to get Frank's thought on this because he always has sort of a counterintuitive, sort of unique thought. One of the thinkers in our space I really appreciate. So Mackie, go ahead and get in here. Then we're going to hit Frank.
Do you think that you actually need the NFT to be part of the community still?
I could understand what you're saying to a point. I guess I understand that. I personally do, because I mean, I don't know, like, could I potentially go to certain things? Yes, but not get my Ape Fest ticket if I don't have my ape. And so could I downgrade to a mutant or something? I guess, but to a point, yes.
I'm going to double down on no. Like, can you get into some aspects of the community? Sure. But what you can't do without the asset is you can't do what Spencer just did with his 100 penguins. Like, that's impossible to do if you don't own the asset or you don't sign a licensing deal with someone that does own the asset. So when I see that kind of stuff, when I see that there's 30 NBA brands that just got a $30,000 round of funding from ThankApe, and they have all these services of this free incubator, they're basically built a Pac Moon-esque in community engagement program for these 30 businesses. You can't get that without the asset. So I don't know. I'm not smart enough to actually determine what the value of all these things is for everyone else. But to Steve's point, the value for me is greater than the current price of most of these. And what I also know is there is a real tangible value there. I don't know what it is, but I know there are things that are valuable that you can create more value with that you can't have access to without the asset beyond the community, whether it's creating a TGE game with those assets, whether it's securing a $30,000 grant and these extra incubator services. Like, there are things out there, and it's not for everyone, but there's things that are real tangible value that you can't get without the asset.
But there's risk execution in this stuff, right? Like, those things aren't guaranteed.
Oh, for sure. Well, there's no guarantee that it's going to be a profitable endeavor. But the like in the form of a grant, that's guaranteed. That's $30,000 to help start your business that you wouldn't have without the asset.
Isn't your ape worth $30,000 now?
What's that?
Isn't your ape worth $30,000 right now? Ish.
Well, you could. What I'm saying is you have access, that same access with a mutant. So you buy a couple of an asset that's a few $1,000s. There's no guarantee you're going to get the grant. But if you're in the community, if you're building those relationships, that's the only way to get access to that is by being like actually holding one of the assets. And yeah, like that's just one of many programs. So you could say, yeah, my ape is, I could sell it for $30K or I get this $30,000 grant. And for me, like, I'm going to Ape Fest. Like that's, I'll put a $5,000 price tag on. The experience I got at Hong Kong last year was easily worth $5K to me. So I can easily earmark $5K for my annual event, and I'm perfectly fine with that. That's just one of many of these other benefits you get for holding, a particular asset.
Well, I totally respect you standing your ground. I just wanted to ask that question.
It's a good question. I can throw one other thing in here, Mackie, just as a response, which is, and this is just me personally, I'm not saying that anybody is going to feel the same way. This is my own compass, which is, I got my ape, like, first of all, it's very easy for me to say. I bought my ape like a week after mint for like 0.3 ETH. So like it's easy for me to be, I bought this thing for $1,000. I'm at a 30x, which any stock return is a 30x in the past few years. Any person in traditional market will be like, wow, you crushed it, right? So number one, there's that. But number two, unless I need to, and I said throughout it, even when apes were soaring, I'm like, if my kid has a medical bill or I need to pay for something, I'm going to sell it. And people are like, you're going to sell your ape? Oh my God, it's your PFP. It's like, right, but like that would be more important to me. At the same time, if I don't need to, I would feel somewhat disingenuous as a person, and not that anybody else would judge me this way, but if I'm like, yeah, I decided to sell because I wanted the money, but I've worked really hard in the space, so I've gotten myself integrated in the community, so therefore I can get to these things anyway without having to hold the NFT. I would feel disingenuous if that were the case, if I sold it and then was like, yeah, but I want to get all the benefits anyway, like just because I host a space or something like that. That doesn't feel quite right to me. Like, I like to support the builders and what they're doing, so I think that's the other part of it for me, is like, it's just a personal thing, if that makes sense.
I think you have done the work though, Steve. Like, I don't know, you're integrated in this community already. I have fallen for the trap of community being the utility, right? And watching my bags just drop. You guys are not the first to feel this. Maybe you have the profit still, but like, I don't know. I don't know if it is immoral or disingenuous to sell the NFT. I totally get why you feel that way. I've felt that way, but maybe that's like the mid-curve move. I don't know. I really don't know.
You might be right. It's just my own way of working through it, and maybe there will come a day when that changes. But it was my immediate reaction. But that said, I want to let Frank get in here. What brings you up here with all our shenanigans that we're talking this morning, sir? Good to see you up here. It's always great when you join us and get to kick it a little bit. How you doing, GM Frank?
Yeah, man, whenever I'm on Coffee with Captain, it means I'm still awake. So GM to the boys. To your question, I think you said I have counter takes, but I don't think you really need the NFT, which might be blasphemous for me to say. I really don't think you need the NFT to be a part of the community, and I think communities that have expanded beyond that are obviously like just doing really well right now. I mean, the one outperformer in NFTs this year has really been Milady's. And I think if you look at that, I know for a fact, just the homies, like I know a lot of these guys don't own a fucking Milady, and it's just off chain. You know, they just like made one, or they made something that looks like it, or it's Remilia coded, or whatever it is. And it was kind of a long burn because for a while people didn't talk about them in spaces like this, but soon, like people, everyone's going to need to talk about them. But yeah, I think they took the longer route, but you don't really need the NFT to be a part of it. Famously, you could get into the Discord and it was just open to everybody. You didn't need the NFT. There wasn't even a way to verify your NFT. So to your question specifically, I think they're all just tokenized communities, whether it's an NFT or a meme coin, and there's different vehicles in which they trade in. But I think the delineation between all of these different types of communities is just getting blurred. So it's all just tokenized communities. I think it's plus EV if you're going to rock a brand or be a part of a community that you financially are invested in, like to have like a financial stake in. Because if you are going to make content, you are going to help that project or that community by putting that out there. So it's like logically, financially, there is the alignment, but I don't think the need for it is as strong as it was, 2 years ago.
It's what's interesting is something you hit on there too that I've changed my mind on is early on, probably I would say 18 months ago, meme coins had their kind of a big jump, and I was like, meme coins are like this is just a giant greater fool theory or whatever. And then I actually had a call with someone who was a leader at a major blockchain who at one point said, no, you're looking at this all wrong. This is a social network and a tokenized community, kind of what you said, and basically made the point of when you're in meme coins, like people get in and out of them with their friends. And it started to hit me. I'm like, wait, in my favorite Discord, the DGen Network Discord, we have a shitcoin season channel, which we had put in like a couple shitcoin seasons ago. And I realized, I'm like, that's exactly what we're doing. It's the second most active channel, if not the most some days, in the Discord. We ape into stuff together. We sometimes sell, we sometimes don't. But along the way, you see people creating content around, whether it's Mogcoin or whether it's, Harambe or all these other coins, people start to create it. And like that in essence is what NFTs were in just a different way. But the difference is someone can get in and out at a much lower amount. Like, let's say that you get into a community that runs upward, assuming that Martin Shkreli isn't behind it. And then as it runs upward, it like people do well and can sell part of it, but still be in the community owning or not at all. But like, I've kind of changed my mind on meme coins, and I'm curious your thoughts on that. If you've been playing around in meme coins, Frank, related to that, because like I changed my mind on it.
Look, I don't have all the answers, but I will say this for something for people to consider. The biggest struggle that NFTs will continue to have is that the higher the price they go, the fewer people that can buy it. Fungible tokens do not have this problem. If anything, it's the opposite. So just consider that. Just think about that for a second. Like, the higher the price of an NFT goes, the fewer people that can buy it. But obviously, people are aligned around the price of the NFT going up. But it's like a sales funnel that only gets smaller and smaller. The higher that you go. So meme coins obviously solve this problem. Yes, to your question, if I've been getting meme coins, it's honestly all I've been focused on for the last 4 months now. Yeah, we made like a Telegram chat. Just I made one that was open to because you asked the question earlier about whether or not it's you need to be a part of the community or hold the asset. I made one that's open and one that's gated, and on some days the gated one is cooking, and other days the open one's cooking, and other days it's like the same plays that kind of rotate. I think there's like 2,000 people in the public one, about like 900 holders in the gated one now, and like I don't even go on Discord anymore, to be honest, dude. I just am on Telegram all day, every day. Um, with the community, just kind of getting in and out of tickers is like a part of my day for the last 3-4 months, and it's definitely just where the culture is at, Steve. This is where all the new stuff is popping up. This is where people are really just hunting and following kind of the space in a different way than you are on Twitter. Like even on Twitter, I've shifted I don't go on the For You page anymore. I'm pretty much only on the following page because I feel like the algorithm on the For You page it's just almost designed to make you exit liquidity, or it's designed to make you like, late to whatever is happening. Where if you're going to be on your computer or active on the internet for most of the day, you might as well be catching things like right when they happen. And so I think this kind of shift has definitely happened to all the same people that were focused on chain. The focus on chain 2 years ago was 100% NFTs. But I think now the focus is just communities, and you definitely have an edge or an advantage trading or just participating, on chain this cycle with a community. Whether that's farming Blast Gold, whether that's getting into low cap meme coins, whether that's creating content, people are forming their own cabals, and that's the biggest difference between 2022 and 2024. There's not that many new entrants, and so people figured out, well, I'm not gonna get added to the Kobe and fucking GCR cabal, so I might as well make my own. But with on-chain games that are coming up, not like literal games, but social games, it's very possible to do. Whether that's Friendtech to Blast Gold to low cap Solana meme coins, Pump Fun, Base, Bitcoin runes. Everybody's making their own cabal, and so I think NFTs play a role in forming these groups. It's no surprise to me that Mog came out of the Remilia community, out of a group chat, from that community, and across the board, there's just been all these mini cabals that have made really cool things, and I think that trend's only going to continue.
Yeah, no, it's interesting too, as far as like I've looked at the Telegram chats that I'm in nowadays, and it's like I feel like the vibes are up in Telegram chats. I'm hoping they don't go the way of Discord, whereas Discord went from everybody to get together, you have this private gated community, to a place where everybody goes to be a Karen, right? And it was like and one big voice can like drown out. In fact, I've learned this in community. One shitty voice can like poison an entire community in a Discord and make things, because then everybody starts diving on that one person. That one person starts responding to everybody, and you go from like this vibe. And for whatever reason, at least at the moment, the Telegram chats I'm in, because I was not a big Telegram person before recently. And then probably again about 6 months ago, everyone's like, "What's your Telegram? What's your Telegram?" Started getting added to things, and like I'm enjoying those where people are just sending tickers, knowing it's not financial advice, because we all know that we live in Goblin Town and we're just kind of aping into stuff at this point, and some of it goes up and some of it goes down. And so, we talked about it at one point where, if I was onboarding a friend who doesn't understand crypto or NFTs at all, I'm not putting them in a Telegram chat necessarily right away without any sort of explanation. It's pushing them out of plane without a parachute. But I mentioned yesterday on the show, it's like, if you're walking into the haunted house, then sometimes some motherfucker is going to jump out with a fake chainsaw. It just happens. And sometimes you're going to win.
I have a boomer Telegram question. I was late to the Telegram game, like very late, and I'm in there now. I'm in the weeds. My question though is, where and how does their native token come into play? We've never talked about. I don't even know if it's called Ton or Ton, or I don't even know how you properly pronounce it.
For me and you, and Steve and everyone here, it doesn't, because we're in America, and so the only way to really use the Telegram token or play with that is through a Chrome extension. And so, yeah, in America, you can't actually use the wallet extension, so I wouldn't even worry about it. My one rule for Telegram, if you guys start getting into some meme coin telegrams, here's the best way to think about it. Like right now, I haven't checked decap, like our meme coin chat, in the last hour, and I'm looking at it right now, and there's 800 unread messages. And so it's like the way you play the Telegram game is you don't try to catch up on the chat. Like you don't even don't even fucking try. Just hop in, say GM, what's up, and then like you're good to go. Like just focus on the present, because a play that happened like 5 minutes ago could have rugged. Or if you're not in at the right entry in these low cap meme coins, especially, like you might as well just not get into it. And so I think that's the way you kind of stick to these big Telegram groups, is don't even try to catch up, just hop right in. But the token is pretty irrelevant to like the actual usage of Telegram if you're in America. International, I mean, like again, I think the Ton network for the most part is like, if you know type of network, where you have like, I think I categorize blockchains today in like two ways. One is like blockchains that are playing low cap on-chain games, which is basically right now meme coins, honestly, maybe some like DeFi yield stuff or whatever, where there's new stuff popping up every day. So all you have to really do to get into an ecosystem is just like, get in, like follow a bunch of accounts on Twitter, and then get into some chats, and then just like start playing around. You don't have to worry about catching up. And then you have stuff like Ton that is like a slower cook, where you probably know somebody or know something or have some type of edge. And those are like because it's less frequent that new stuff is popping up. So like Solana, Base, Bitcoin, all three of those right now are very focused on like basically low cap meme coins. And so that's what people get into. And you could have joined Solana 4 days ago and bought Billy at a 50K market cap or 200K market cap, and today it's sitting at like 60 million. And so someone that joined 4 days ago can beat out someone that's been timing it perfectly, for the last 6 months. And that's just the game of like the low cap on chain games. But then other chains like Blast, for example, dude, like if you're joining Blast now, honestly, bro, like trying to farm fucking Blast gold, you probably you might as well just wait for TGE. It's like you might as well just wait until the fucking chain comes out, because people have been like farming Blast with high levels of game theory for the last 5-6 months. So I think that's like where I'm seeing the different blockchain ecosystems right now, how they kind of divide. Like Cardano yesterday, Charles Hoskinson has a pig named Nike, and they made a meme coin, and it's the first meme coin in fucking Cardano history for a long time. It went from 80K to now it's sitting at like 10 mil. And Charles Hoskinson, let's hope he keeps tweeting about that fucking pig. But yeah, it's like now maybe low cap meme coins are going to start popping up on Cardano next. So it's just kind of wild, that side of it. But yeah, sorry to deviate from your original question, but the token doesn't have much to do with it. But I do think Telegram is the place where fast communication happens, to a point where it's very different. Like the trenches are Telegram, and it's very different from Twitter. The conversations are very different. It's a lot more direct, and the speed at which things happen is a lot
Well, anybody
faster.
who gets in these telegrams, again, like part of what it is for me is that the ones I'm in that people talk about, and I don't play in the meme coin streets very often. I very rarely strike, but I'm in a couple just because I've been at it and I pay attention to it. It's not, when you talk about the direct nature, like that's a huge, sort of part of it where everybody knows what they're there and why they're there. And so it's not like you have this dancing around that I even have in Twitter DMs where it's like, not financial advice, be careful. I read this. Here's a 5, here's a dissertation on this. Here's a thread. It's like, it's just, someone just like, the ticker is, Nike the pig. And it's just, it's like that simple, like where someone sends it.
Well, the joke that you have in the meme coin in these chats is that you buy first, then you make your decision. Like if someone sends a ticker, especially if they're kind of sick, if they're sickos, you buy it first and then you look at it and then you're like, okay, should I keep this or fucking, like not. So that's like the best way to describe the difference. I mean, to your point on the investment thesis.
Well, I mean, somebody dropped like the DJT contract address when like it wasn't like anywhere yet in one of them.
Oh, that's crazy, man. Where was my DM, bro? What? No,
yeah, like a couple of us cooked on that one.
Steve. No, noted.
I've got to get in the Telegram chat, Frank. I got to get in the Telegram chat.
No, I called it. Give the PSA, not verified, probably not the real one. Don't take any action, and everyone else cooks on it. And I was the caller who sat on the sidelines.
It was a good one, but but it's like that happens, and someone's like, "What is this? Seems like a rug." Probably someone's like, I think the exact quote from like the group chat was, "Seems like a rug, might be a honeypot, just aped in for 5 SOL." Like, and that was like, it was like that simple, and like that's like a microcosm. Again, these are the two separate markets that are emerging. You have what happens at Consensus on like the tech side of like people like building layer blockchains for, Fox News doing verification of sources and all these things. And then on the flip side of it, you have this world that we're playing in with this stuff, which it's part of it is just being fun and gambling and knowing what that is. And one of the things I love about Web3 is that, yeah, like I'm going to be 41 in like a week, and I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I go to soccer games. My kids travel soccer games and don't talk about what I do for a living, right? Like that's one side of my life. But in the other side of my life, I also like to make 69 jokes and sometimes gamble. And so it's fine to say that both of those things can exist in a human, and you don't have to be like, well, I'm a grown-up business person now, better only wear polos and khakis and go to work. It's like sometimes you want to do both. And like I enjoy that I can do both of these things. And again, I don't play heavily in the meme coin streets. I don't farm Blast Gold heavily. I don't do any of the farming stuff heavily because I do other things, and I really like working on innovative products that are consumer facing. But I also love playing in this world, and so being able to say I can do both, I think, is part of it.
Dude, I have a great pitch for you on this, Steve. Because I'm glad, Mackie. Thanks for pinning the guide. Honestly, it's fucking far down in my thing, so I wasn't gonna try to find it. But Here's my basic pitch on why I think a lot of people in spaces that are spending a lot of time on Twitter should just get comfortable with meme coins. Is that if you're comfortable with just like how all the tools work, like Photon, BonkBot, whatever you're going to use to trade, like what market caps, like what do they all mean? You lose a little bit of money, you play with it. You give yourself the best shot at being at the right place at the right time. And so, like, I tell my community all the time, like, one of my sickest trades of all fucking time was honestly Hobbs and a fucking Ansem's cat, bro. But and it was like I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, right when that shit happened, and I was kind of used to already, buying and trading meme coins, where I was able to like play that super fucking well. And so when it goes from a few hundred K to 120 million in a day. Like obviously that's going to be a retarded like type of come up. But I think if you're going to be spending all this time on Twitter, who knows when the Doge dog is going to die or, Donald Trump is going to or Barron Trump is going to launch a fucking meme coin or whatever it is. And so if you're just like comfortable and your community is just comfortable with how it works, how the game goes, you might lose some, you might win some, but your goal is not to get rich. I think the first thing I write in the guide is like if you're trying to get rich quick is the best strategy to go broke. Like this is the best strategy to go broke in meme coins. So I think it's not about that. It's just, hey, this is like a new facet of crypto and being on chain that didn't exist in the capacity that it does today, 2 years ago when it was just Binance smart chain like shit coins. And so now it's like anytime some big news event happens, you have a shot at like hitting the pump fun and like catching him before the bonding curve and maybe making like a quick 10, 15, 20x. So you might as well just add the skill to the tool belt. And that's my main pitch to your point, Steve, someone that has a lot of responsibilities, focused on work. Like it's not something I recommend people build into become like a full-time trader. It's really just a skill set to fucking have, but it has this taboo around it that I don't think will exist. This taboo won't exist in the next few months, and it'll just be a part of like kind of normal culture. It's just attention tokens at the end of the day.
Speaking of taboo and alpha, I hear you have the Cardano alpha. What is that?
So there's a guy I know. He's a sicko. Okay, this guy's like kind of a certified printer. On the Solana side, especially, and obviously, like Cardano's a big meme. Like it's fucking Cardano, of course, right? But he sends me like I never think I get this message yesterday. And I was like in the middle of work, but I just keep getting blown up by this guy yesterday. He's like, dude, Cardano this, Cardano that. I'm like, dude, I can't fucking read these essays right now. What is going on? So it's like late at night yesterday, and I finally sit down to read these fucking. And this guy's a sicko. I really, really value his opinion. I sit down and read it. I'm like, oh fuck, like so Charles Hoskinson has a fucking pig. And that's his pet. It's not a dog. It's not a cat. It's a pig. And the pig's name is Nike. And this pig is fucking flying. But the meme is like the biggest meme coin on Cardano right now is sitting in 80 mil market cap. And that's called SNEC. And it's kind of like dead. The people, the new kids do not want to get into SNEC at 80 mil. But they haven't had like a runner, in a minute compared to this fucking Nike, like this fucking pig. And so I think I bridged to Cardano. I made my first Cardano wallet yesterday. But his main thing was like, this might become a thing the foundation gets excited about, and like continues to keep pushing. But I think right now the main focus is just on, hey, like let's just rally around Nike and see how high this thing goes. But to my point earlier on like the different types of blockchain ecosystems, I do think Cardano's had an identity crisis maybe for the last decade, however long. I mean, I know it's not been around for a decade, but for a very long time. And so we'll see. Maybe meme coins get bigger, but I think the alpha is like it's just fucking Nike right now. I don't really have much more, but I'm the guy I'm referring to. I'll see if he's cool with me mentioning his name, and then maybe I can get him to write more on it. But I think we're gonna publish. I've been posting a lot of like meme coin guide stuff. I don't really tweet from this account as much anymore. Like I have another one. I tweet from more often just because like, okay, Frank D God's NFT founder. If I want to put my community on, like actually help them make, money, then I'm just gonna help them focus on meme coins. And so that's what all I've been doing for the last 3 weeks, and that's been fun. But yeah, I think we're gonna post a guide on like just the easiest way to bridge, what wallet to set up, like where to buy meme coins and stuff on Cardano, just because it might be hot, but right now it's just Nike.
I wanna see you in the next when they do the video that's like, I'm a Cardano girl. Like you have to be in that one, like just at some point.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna be in that one for sure. Yeah, I mean that one. Yeah. I'm already. We got my agent on it for.
No,
sure,
it's true. It's a like the right place at the right time is the interesting one. And again, this is if people have the risk tolerance, understand it. Like the way I play meme coins personally is when it 2x's, or hit some sort of a gain, I will take out my original, keep my moon bag. Like this is what I did with like Nick was a great, and being the right place at the right time. It's a good point. Like I remember I got a message in a Telegram about, when the Choose Rich Nick coin was coming out, people were like, hey, Choose Rich is taking off. This Nick coin's coming out. And it was like, I remember it was like 11 o'clock at night and I had like this show the next day and my kids had school and all these things. And so I was like kind of like groggy and I picked up my computer and I tossed like 2.5 SOL in it or something. I wake up the next morning and that 2.5 SOL is significantly more. So I sell half of it and then it doubles again and I sell half of it again. Then it doubles again and I sell half of it again. And like, I kind of did this thing and like, I missed a 50 SOL upside, but I made like 10 SOL, which is pretty good. And then, like I lost some on the next one, but it's like, and I don't talk about these things as publicly, but it's like something where I play around and have some fun. But if it is something people are interested in, it's not get rich quick. But when people say, when's it going to be my time? I put, $3,000 into an Iggy Azalea coin and see it go to 2 million. It's like, well, you have to like, if you want to swing the bat, you have to be at the plate. And if you want to be at the plate, you have to know where to be. And I'm not saying meme coins are for everyone, but NFTs were very much the same way. The way people got in front of NFTs and got into Lawless and got in mints were they paid attention, they participated, and they were active. This is active communities. And these are people who say, like, it's almost like in a small way, like what we saw with GameStop, where they were like, wouldn't it be funny if, and then they fucked around and did something. And it's like, with a pig, like with a Cardano founder's pig being like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we ran this thing up? And they're like, but people have the power to move it.
Pigs are flying, bro. The pigs are flying. But even on like because I do think what I like about you guys so much is your focus on responsibility, and I do think it's so easy to torch a bankroll on meme coins. Like it's retardedly easy to lose all of your money on meme coins. That like the first half of the guide that thank you again, Mackie, for pinning it. I think it's like a few slides over. First half of it is just on bet sizing. And so, I mean, I'm a big poker guy, so like I think about stuff in these terms sometimes, but like just in all types of sports gambling or just gambling in general, there's a thing called Kelly criterion. The simplest way to explain it is the goal of a Kelly criterion is to find optimal bet sizing. What does that mean? It means how can you bet enough that you don't underbet winners and you don't overbet on losers, so you have like an optimal betting range. And so that number is basically anywhere from 1% to 5%. So I think a lot of people, what they'll do if like they have ego involved, like I know a lot of my close friends, that are smart people, that when they first get into meme coins, they have like ego involved. So they start with too low of a bankroll. Because even if they have, let's just say 10 SOL disposable or 50 SOL disposable, they're only going to load up their meme coin balance with like 5 SOL. And then they'll try to trade that up. But like if you obsess over percentage gains, you're not going to like make enough. And then if you put too much in, like if some of a whale starts with like 1,000 SOL, they're just as equally likely to blow up their bankroll if they don't have good betting sizes. So if you have 100 SOL, for example, you really should only be putting 1 to 5 SOL in every coin that you get into, because that's 1 to 5%, and that kind of ranges up and down, from there. And what you'll learn from that is just basic probabilistic thinking. So you get your goal, if you're only putting 1 to 5 SOL in, is, well, if I want to see real gains, I'm only going to put things in at lower market caps. And so that way, like, you can throw more SOL at like pump funds that have a shot at running. But here's a great way to think about the math. This is, I think, a cool analogy. Every single day on Solana today, there's like, anywhere from a dozen to 50 coins that will go from 5K market cap to 100K market cap, which, if you catch it anywhere in that range, is anywhere from obviously a 20x to a 5x to a 2x or, a 3x. Now, every single day, maybe there's 1 or 2 coins that go from, 100K or 200K to 1 million. And so I think people get way too obsessed over the mothers and the whiffs of like these really, really large market cap coins. But that is where most people that I know lose the most money, actually, because you're putting so much at like the potential next whiff for the potential next mother or whatever it is, that you end up betting, like to your point, Steve, like thousands of dollars, just to see a little bit of upside. But then on the very likely chance that the coin actually ends up going to zero or goes down 50%, you actually lose thousands of dollars. So my recommendation to most people is just studying like basic bet sizing, so you're not blowing up your portfolio before you have a chance to like learn how the game works. So I just say like 1 to 5%. Load up your bankroll with enough. Another good one-liner. You should load up your bankroll with enough that if you lost it, you wouldn't lose sleep, but it would be a lesson. Like that's how you find the optimal balance, right? Like you don't want to put too little where you don't care enough because then you're not going to learn. You're just slowing down your learning process, but you don't want to put too much where you're going to lose sleep. So I always think it's like you put enough where if you lost the entire thing, you wouldn't lose a night of sleep, but you'd still feel the pain and like it'd still be like a big learning lesson. So that's I think how you figure out how to start. And then from there, then you work on your optimal kind of bet sizing, which forces you to find coins at like the right market cap. But yeah, you're probably going to get rugged a bunch of times. And like the whole NFA thing, I'm glad you brought it up, Steve. Hop in a Telegram, bro. You're not hearing that shit. Like, no one's gonna say that. No one's gonna coddle you. No one's gonna tell you when to sell. These things are just too low market cap most of the time to know to like coordinate when everyone's gonna sell. These are like just the basic amateur stuff. And so yeah, just learn how to like not bet as much. And most of the time, when you bet too much, it's because you're being greedy. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, it's so true, and it's like it's funny because my first job out of college, like not at like the level of someone like a Zeneca, but I paid my rent by playing online poker / in-person poker, and it's funny because the applicability of it was like you need to like have like the personality and the EQ to understand things, and you need to actually have the math, like where I wasn't particularly strong at math, but strong enough to do it. But it's funny because people always thought I was crazy, risk on, wild. The truth is, I was always calculating numbers and I was actually relatively conservative in my thought, but bet sizing in poker is how you don't get yourself into trouble. It's one of the reasons tilt is a very real thing. And then I think about someone like Bunshu, our friend in the DJ Network co-founder, like brilliant guy, who the way he bets is like I bet when I bet on sports of I want to fucking watch the Cavs play and I'm going to take all the bets. And if they win, I'm going to celebrate. And if they lose, I'm going to be depressed as fuck. And like, that's how I do sports betting because it's for fun. The way he does sports betting is he looks at like 15 different books. He finds where like 5 have the line at 5.5 and 10 have the line at, and 1 has the line at 3.5. And so the 3.5 means he's getting a 2-point edge. So if he bets that, he's getting free money from the house on it. It's like that level of detail it shows the difference between the sharps.
Not just finding edges like that, not just hunting EV, but betting in proper unit size. I don't care if it's sports betting, if it's meme coins, if it's poker, if it's DFS. This is the real alpha this morning. I believe what is just bet sizing and bankroll management are far more important skills to learn than what winners to pick or what plays to make. Like you're going, even when you make the right play, you could have it all in and 90% heads up to win and you take an L. Like that's going to happen. It's inevitable. If you play the game.
And it's still a good play. And it's still this is the key every pro figures out is like, if you have a good probability, you should still take the play. You should still like see the flip. Dude, yes, 100%, man. Like the unit sizing. I always tell people like the fucking profit and loss screenshots that people have are arguably like the most cancerous part of the entire kind of meme coin game because it makes a lot of people that are starting out feel insecure when in reality it's not about the guy that hit it. I promise you, by the way, bro, you see these fucking like, oh, I turned 1 soul into fucking 900 soul, bro. Like let's look at the whole wallet, man. Like I have homies that hit those trades and I promise you, man, like that there was a cost basis on that quote unquote like 1 soul to get to 900 soul. Usually it's either equal or maybe like half of whatever that gain was. And so I think there is like a very deep truth that people should not get obsessed with like the raw numbers and just start to learn how to be better with probabilistic thinking. And the funny thing, I love that you mentioned sports betting because to my boys, I always make the same analogy, which is look, like as you guys can tell, I dabble in like a lot of the different probability based, we'll call it gambling. Some people call it gambling. Some people call it, game theory, probabilistic thinking, whatever. But I think the biggest thing is I like to watch, like I was watching the finals and I like to throw bets on all the games just because it makes it a more fun, visceral experience. And I think the same thing will apply going forward to crypto Twitter. Like if you enjoy crypto Twitter, and you see like a new thing popping up or a big headline or whatever it is, if you just have in your skill set like how to find like the pump fund that's not the rug, get in on it, whatever it is, ride it up until the story gets old, and then kind of sell it whenever you feel is the right R&R. It'll be like a more visceral kind of fun, productive experience that you're having on CT versus just raw dogging it, just purely just on Twitter. And this is already happening. My joke on this is, hey, if you're like a reply guy. Like if you're like a really good reply guy that's getting on all these big accounts, like right when they tweet, you should translate that skill set, brother, to like maybe looking at Pump Fun. You know, like if you're gonna be following all these guys and replying to them instantly, who knows, right? You might hit a new trend or a new thing or a big story right when it happens. And maybe instead of coming up with a clever meme and replying to the guy, hit Pump Fun and maybe find the meme and get into that early if you're going to be online all the time and just like catching these things right when it happens. Because again, like if that's your skill set, if you're a great reply guy, like bro, you know, like, and you're catching these things right when they happen, like dude, you could hit some shit at 10K market cap that goes to $1 million. Happens like every few days. So I think that's like, again, these analogies keep stacking up, but yeah, I think the sports betting thing is a great fucking one.
Steve, last thing I want to hit on, and then I'll let you take it wherever you'd like. Just in all seriousness, you know, you can like Cardano, you can make fun of Cardano, you can be like, what the hell are we talking about? I kid you not. Steve and I had a conversation yesterday about how we need to explore more chains. It was my aha moment at Consensus that, oh my gosh, there is actually real builders on some of these other chains. There's actually huge grant programs that no one is aware of, or very few people are taking advantage of. The one thing that was like a real, look at book.io. Go to book.io, the website. It is a very well executed consumer product page. It's, think of like Audible, except on chain. And you actually have a secondary market where you can sell your books after you listen to them. You're not just stuck with them forever, or you can gift them to someone. So it is an enhancement. They're using blockchain tech to improve upon existing technology, existing products. It's built on Cardano. I had no idea. You know, so it's like, I think like if you're scoffing or if you're upset or frustrated that we'd be talking about a Cardano meme coin this morning, I would encourage you to, you don't have to throw money at everything. You don't have to, by the way, I have not set up my Cardano wallet yet. I've not participated. I just think it was a hole in my game that I was, and I'm not an ETH maxi. I was just far too deep in ETH, Solana, ETH layer 2s. I still think it's going to be layer 2 summer, by the way. But I had a hole in my game, a blind spot, by not being open to what might be happening on Cardano and AVAX and some of these other chains.
Yeah, and we know Frank is not a chain maxi, as we have learned, but no, like one other thing I want to like touch on that like I think came across in this is I think the importance of having principles. You don't have to be dogmatic about them at all times, but like the thing that you mentioned earlier that I meant to like put a like a flag into that I think is smart is like the market cap, where once you start seeing it on the timeline and the market cap is growing. Yes, there could be that thing where you see like boom and you could have gotten into it and it still climbs. But more often than not, like once you see something, like someone in our war room asked me like, oh, you seem to have a pretty good track record with meme coins, even though you don't do it that often. It's like, because I have certain principles about market caps, and it's not an exact number, but like, you know, again, I sell half my bag when it doubles, if it doubles, right? I get into meme coins only at lower market caps with the chance to potentially run, because I'm not trying to catch the next Dogecoin that runs up. It would be awesome if I did, and that would be a great story, but I'm trying to catch ones that are like interesting, have some cultural relevance. Maybe they catch on, maybe they don't. Like, so I have certain principles. And then, you know, generally speaking, there are some exceptions unless the story is different. I generally sell half my bags every time it 2Xs or starts to go, you know, parabolic in any way. So it's like you're cutting these little profits. I'm only getting in on small caps. And again, not financial advice, because you got to do your own thing and be in front of these things, and you have to determine what they are, but just want to highlight the importance of having principles in anything in life that is financial. Like I have principles in Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and Chainlink where I'm dollar cost averaging into them, because regardless of things, like my principles say, this is my plan, this is where I'm trying to get to, this is what I'm working against. So plan and principles are important. It doesn't mean you can't change it with new information, but understanding that going in, it makes decisions a lot easier, where it's almost like I was talking about my Tesla driving itself the other day and how crazy it is that it takes in data, makes decisions. The other day I was driving to take our car in, and Tesla basically said that Mrs. NFT Bark was driving too fucking slow because it decided to go around her on the freeway when we were taking that car in behind her, because it makes a decision. But it's because it's a machine that thinks and it makes decisions based on the data it's taken. If you create that system for yourself on things, you're going to be able to be potentially more successful. There's an entire book by Ray Dalio, if you haven't read it, called Principles, that I recommend to people because it has that sort of idea. He's one of the more successful people, I think, on the planet. So it's worth reading. So yeah, I think principles are hyper important on that. All that said, I know, Lady, you've had your hand up for a hot minute, so I want to get you back in here. Not always on stage. Good seeing you in I was going to say I almost said New York. It was a consensus, but all the days run together. But lady, I want to let you get in here.
GM. Oh my gosh, Austin was fun. Travel is about to come up soon, so hopefully I'll see you again. No, anyways, I just wanted to touch on, we kind of talked about, I mean, a million things, but so far back, I think Frank was talking about kind of the best approach to, meme coin season is kind of taking it with just learn how to do this stuff, kind of gain that skill. And for me and Steve and Captain, I know we talked about this in Austin and a lot of people, but my focus has been on education, not for degens, but for normies who are looking in at us going, what the heck is this? And kind of taking that approach that Frank's talking about, where, it's not like we're trying to teach you how to get the next 100x, whatever's coming in, but it's more of the approach of, okay, this is a lower entry point. This is less of a risk factor. This is learning a new skill. This is getting in, at a low level of the industry, getting in with community, all of these different, advantages to something that seems so silly and stupid to most. It's a really interesting way to, I think, bring people into the space at, a lower entry point and not necessarily having to, purchase an entire decod, an entire doodle, something like that. It's more of this now, fractionalized sort of environment, which is, I think it's overall, it's a good thing. It's a shift from where we were, but it's certainly a good thing because it's allowing us to get back into that, the 2021 euphoria where you basically throw a ball and you hit $1 million anywhere. It's that euphoria feeling, that like community aspect that gets you excited, engaged, like interested. But then if we can focus on like building skills at whatever level, like building that base knowledge, I just think that's so much more valuable than like coming in and saying, I want to buy a DGOD because I think it's going to go to 10x, tomorrow. So it's really interesting to have that conversation and hit those points about, what are we learning from these more fractionalized opportunities. So GM.
Yeah, no, it's the phrase, the teach a man to fist phrase is very real. And I think that's why, like, on the show, I mean, Frank hit on it. We talk about like being responsible. We talk about trying to make sure you are thoughtful in your process as much as anything, because a lot of times the process is perfect, but you don't necessarily that's okay though. Like, the loss is a time to learn and understand why something went wrong. And maybe you did something, maybe you did everything right. And sometimes you do everything right and it doesn't work out anyway, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't continue to do it. It's like finding that alpha, I don't know. It's like finding the alpha difference in sort of the trades on betting, where it's like, when I mentioned, Bunchu, it's like if he gets 2 points on a line, which is a crazy number, or even a half point, taking that bet is still the right move, even if it doesn't work, because he's looking for it. And it's why he's sharp. I like Cap in Daily Fantasy. Cap, I learned from Daily Fantasy. I thought I was pretty good at Daily Fantasy. I'd put my money. I'd sometimes make it, sometimes lose it. Then I learned that this motherfucker's throwing in 20 lineups into these, firing 20 shots based on who's like the least owned players. And I realized, I am the mark. He's the sharp. And you realize the differences that makes.
Well, first of all, 20 is like rookie number, Steve. But I also have another piece of real alpha. I'm not even kidding. Either I'm running like Jesus again, or IKB is beatable. IKB is the DFS platform on Blast. MLB baseball, DFS baseball is extremely hard. You want to talk about math nerds? Like, I don't play MLB baseball on like DraftKings or FanDuel. It's a hard game to beat. I don't have an edge. I've cashed in every single day. I played IKB or baseball, MLB baseball on IKB, because I'm just rostering chalk. It's like playing DFS back in 2012, because most of the people playing, they're not those math heads that have their optimizers and their spreadsheets and their solvers. They're just firing who they think the best plays are. I don't even watch baseball anymore, Steve. All I'm doing is I use Stochastic. It's also got sports betting stuff. I'm just looking, who are the best plays today? And I'm rostering the best plays, and I keep continuing to print. So if you're into DFS at all, actually, I feel obligated. I'm going to go grab a ref link, Steve. I'll throw that up top in a bit. But seriously, check out IKB. Andy's going to join us, their founder, creator. He's been in the DFS streets for over a decade as well, and we're going to get him on the show here in the future. But it's a genuine plug for IKB. They are crushing the rake-free DFS environment, and there is EV over there, especially if you know anything about baseball, or just play the math, play the best plays, and right now they're profitable.
Yeah, no, that's the move. And again, it's a process oriented situation that you want to be involved in. But let's go Bread then Joey Vowels. Let's do that because haven't had Bread up this morning. Bread, GM, thanks for joining us. How you doing this morning? Feel free to take us any direction you want.
Yeah, GM fam. No, good discussion this morning.
Bread going once, Bread going
Oh
twice.
no, can you hear me?
Sold to Joey Vowels for the next hand.
I could hear you, Bread. So maybe dip down.
Oh
jump
shit,
out,
my bad,
come back.
Bread. My bad, Bread. Dip down and come back. I couldn't hear you if you don't mind.
Right.
Just jump on and we'll get you back in and we'll get Joey in the meantime. My bad, Bread.
So Joey, you're up.
Can I not hear Joey now, or is Joey on the
No, I'm here.
shenanigans?
I was trying to get to the. I was trying to get over to the mute button. Yeah, I raised my hand a long time ago, and there's been a lot of different topics discussed at this point. But I guess when we were talking about like the meme coins and the different group chats and things like that, one of the things that Frank said that stood out to me, which I can definitely attest to as I'm in quite a few of these Telegram chats, is that like if you don't have notifications on and because here's the thing, one thing I've learned too, a lot of these Telegram chats, they're getting info from other Telegram chats. And
So
sometimes
I honestly, like, I got to interject. How in the world do you, I get notifications on and I just ignore them because it's way too many. So how do you manage notifications?
Yeah, I was about to say, you got to keep the notifications off, but check it all the time.
Well, yeah, I have
otherwise
them.
Like, does it matter? I don't have notifications on X, but I know everything that's going on at all time because I close my X, then I go and walk up the stairs. I'm like, better check X again. So I think it's the same sort of deal. It's
Oh
just
yeah, no, I
routine.
have all of them muted, and I'm always on my computer, so I have Telegram up on my computer, but I have the notifications muted, so I'm just constantly checking. But what I was going to say is a lot of what I've noticed is a lot of these Telegram chats, they all kind of piggyback off each other, like they get their info from another one. So what you have to realize too, unless you're in like the Telegram, we'll call it the Prime group, right? Like the originator. Sometimes even if you're quick, you're still like late because again, that Telegram group you're in could have been started by somebody who has access to a better Telegram group. So it gets posted in there and then they post it in yours. So like just to piggyback off what Frank said, like if you're 5 minutes past like a post on like, oh, you should be buying into this, you're probably going to be late and be at risk of missing the entry point. So I noticed that too. Like I'm in one where the guy literally, it's funny because the guy doesn't even recreate the post. He literally just forwards it from the other Telegram group. And I'm like, dude, like you really want us to be your exit liquidity? You just forwarded this from another Telegram group. Come on.
Yeah,
like,
but that's I like how you're describing it's like a giant human centipede where everyone's just like going around. But like it is true. But like I actually that to me it's like, but that is honestly the circle of life with alpha. Like that is the circle of life with plugs to me. It's like, somebody says something to me that's interesting and I'm going to share it with someone else who's interesting. Although I'm terrible at this because I tend to be a steel trap when someone's like, don't tell anybody this. But if someone's like, yeah, you can share this. Like the chats I'm in, a lot of times they are exactly that, where somebody heard something in one place because each chat is going to have different people who are tied into different places. So if you're all over the place, you can sort of figure that out. But let's Frank, go ahead and get back in here and then we'll go back to Brad.
So okay, the place this conversation has gone allows me to now say one of my hottest takes, but it takes a level of like depth in the conversation to get here. I believe the real social fi of this cycle is Solana meme coins and specifically the Telegram chats that revolve around the Solana meme coins, specifically for what you described. So, like, in reality, when people talk about the trenches, what are the trenches? It's basically Telegram chats. But yes, people are in a lot of different Telegram chats. And so when a new coin that has some type of cultural significance, whether it's based on a person, a recent event, a funny picture, meme, whatever it is, picks up, there's going to be like it's like feudal societies almost. So like one Telegram chat picks it up. They start buying a little bit and then start sending it to other chats. And then that chat starts buying a little bit and then they start sending it to other chats. And then, oh, maybe it's not that good of a meme. And then it gets to too high of a market cap. And then now no more chats want to get in. Or it's such a viral meme that it starts to spread even more and more. Maybe you're starting to see this picture in your head. But when everyone's been chasing like quote unquote, social fi or all these different apparatuses or instruments across the ecosystem, sitting here in the trenches, I can tell you like what people think of SocialFi is happening every single day, 24/7, and it's basically Telegram, Pump Fun, and these meme coins, getting the radium and getting bigger from there, maybe getting on exchanges. And so for me, I just think, yeah, like the whole Telegram, like what you were saying, Joey, about it being, not wanting to be someone's exit liquidity. Well, I think it's only exit liquidity if it's the top, and so I think that's where your gauge or your radar has to just get better. Of hey, like how far and how viral can this meme be, and how many people are going to want to continue to get in on this and keep pushing it to be bigger and bigger. And obviously, we've seen the limits of that being fucking whiff, bonk, mother, like boom, whatever it is. Like there's a pretty high ceiling, and whenever there's a new coin that hits these new ceilings, it sparks the fever for a completely new run. And so I do think there's like this interesting paradigm now that's happening that people it goes under the radar, but it really is like the trenches, these Telegram chats talking about new coins in their little feudal societies or group chats. And people are part of all these different ones. Some of them get better alpha than others, but realistically, everyone gets the same alpha, which is on chain. Because you can go to Pump.fun or you can go to Photon and see a new pair right when it comes out. And so it's just really about it gets to a point where the edge becomes really just how much time can you spend online, and how tight is your friend group, and how skilled is your friend group, not how connected these days. It's really not as much about the connections, because the cabal, it moves too fast for a cabal to genuinely, back something. Otherwise, people can tell it's kind of phony or fake. It happens, of course, but a lot of these daily coins that go to a few millions of dollars, from $5,000, $10,000, man, it really just happens based on that meme being at the right place at the right time. Who's making the memes? Are they funny? Are they catching? Are they like, spreading around these chats? But that's how the game goes, I think, today. So I think it's just this interesting social dynamic that plays out. And I think that's the real SocialFi, the most real SocialFi I've seen all cycle.
Yeah, no, I think banger, and I appreciate the perspective, because I think like it's important as the space evolves that like I think there are like, again, we talked about, we changed our mind on this. I think there are a lot of people who get very stuck in like, this is the way it was when I came in, so this is the way it should always be, and that's the opposite of the thinking that got us into Web3 in the first place. The way that we got into Web3 is because we thought about things differently and had the open-mindedness to say, let's learn about something new. And I think a lot of people were resistant with the meme coin thing, but as you start to come around to it, and when you're seeing, Franklin Templeton doing, papers on meme coins, and when you're seeing, large people at A16Z talking about meme coins being tokenized culture, when you're seeing Solana and their leadership embracing meme coins, it reminds me of the analogy of like, when my co-author Scott mentioned the idea that, what people would ask him, what do your bosses think about the fact that you're a Harvard professor at Harvard Business School and you're talking about NFTs right now? And this is in 2021. And his answer was, my bosses think that if there's something that is a $40 billion industry, which is what it was at the time, then our students should understand it and understand the mechanics of why it works and why it's happening one way or another. And there is something there, right? There's a there. And like, that was his response, is that this is, and I thought that was really noteworthy. And I think with meme coins, I had this moment where I turned around and said the same thing, where this isn't going away. I'm seeing where it's leaning into, and whether I participate regularly or not, which, as I mentioned, I don't get in super often. I have a set of principles I get in with. I'm in certain chats that I listen to because they're not like these cabal chats, just people throwing tickers. And by the way, part of it is just entertainment. It's like reality TV for me, where somebody tosses in a ticker and I watch all my friends go into it. I don't get into it, but I get to watch the ups, the downs, and I get to be happy for them if they make money, or feel the agony defeat if they don't. So I guess like it's important to understand and be thinking about these things and learning about them, even if you don't participate. Understand that muscle in your brain, which even if you don't participate in meme coin, those principles might apply to other things. Bunchu's talking about the importance of bet sizing, as Frank's talking about it, and what that is and where that means, and how you're, putting that into play, and, probabilistic thinking and how you're putting that into play. And all of those things come into play and have multiple skill sets that you can sharpen across the board. Brett, go ahead and get back in here. Let's see if we got you.
GM, can you hear me?
Thank you, sir. Sorry about that earlier. I just figured we didn't hear you, but you're back. Got it.
Oh yeah, Twitter Spaces have been fantastic lately, but I'm glad that you kind of segued over into like that old mentality of the 21, 22 stuff. It was kind of like that wag me culture, and that it was almost inclusiveness via exclusivity. and being a part of these micro communities and things like that, and at this point, like, yeah, my Telegram's a dumpster fire. I honestly don't even really check it anymore because I look at the number and I'm just like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. I think that it's interesting to see now that, like, because as we all know, everything here runs in cycles, right? And so with this meme coin, like, I guess, phase that we're in, this cycle that we're in, that I don't think we're like over yet. I think we're still kind of in the in the thick of it, you know. But I'm curious, kind of anybody's thoughts, really, as far as like once this starts to kind of peter out a little bit, because people are gonna lose attention with it. It's almost like it's too overwhelming. There's just too many options, too many possibilities. What should I ape into here, and when should I exit, and all of these things. As that starts to kind of fade out, do you think that we're going to get back to that kind of mentality of, oh, well, I'm part of this niche group that's just constantly printing, and if that will tie ultimately back into kind of that WAGMI type vibes, I hope that we don't go back to the total full blown WAGMI that got kind of sickening towards the end. But, do you think that we'll get back to that sort of mentality as these, even, yeah, everyone's starting to realize that, like, oh yeah, I saw this screenshot posted in this ticker in like 6 of these different Telegram groups. There's no possible. I'm too late. Do you think we'll go back to kind of niche, that niche community type mentality and vibe?
I was going to say, Frank, I saw you emojiing like crazy. I'll let you answer that one.
I think what you're describing happens in the scenario in which you have far more market participants. Because as more people onboard, there's certain assets that tend to get this huge concentration of liquidity. And a lot of the people that are participating most actively are in those assets. And so there's this feeling of abundance that gets created. But if we're being honest, the only catalyst that's really happened this year has been the Bitcoin ETF, now the ETH ETF, and in between, I would argue, like Donald Trump coming out and supporting the fuck out of crypto. Like these are really like the 3 things, honestly, like this year that have created kind of groundswells of new liquidity. Now, the first 2 I mentioned, the ETFs, it's not on-chain liquidity that they're creating, but it is literally new capital coming in the space, which then gets spread around, which creates slightly more abundance. And then obviously, ideally, with America ideally embracing common sense crypto regulation, you can see you can imagine there could be a lot more participants, and people less worried about archaic regulation and just focus on making things that are cool. So when there's like this huge influx of new people have an abundance mindset. When people have an abundance mindset, then it eventually kind of corrodes. Hard times make strong men. Hard times make good times make soft men. You know how the fucking quote goes. And so that's where you get the WAGMI culture. I think we have not seen that entrance of liquidity, and so instead you have these feudal societies. It is deeply PvP, and certain group chats just win more than others, and that's just the game that we're in right now. But that's not going to be ideally how it always is, but it's also not going to always be extreme WAGMI either. I don't know, maybe Aristotle or one of those fucking guys said it, but it's like a cycle. I think something like that.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good take on that, especially as you look at the way that we're moving as far as a country goes. It's like I'm hopeful, and I know that politicians, a lot of them are jockeying to get our attention or are curving because they see the opportunity to get attention, and who knows what they're going to follow through with. If they pass bills or get things on the floor that pass because they're trying to pander during election season, I'll fucking take it. I'll take the wins where I can get them. I don't care. Like if we can get things to the point where, like in the past 4 years, there has been Congress people who have talked about literally an anti-crypto army. And it's like, I am a freaking geriatric millennial father of 2 trying to work and build the next layer of the internet as however I can. Like saying you want me to go to jail or be out of work, that's a tough spot for me. So seeing that we're actually getting movement towards that, I think is a really positive, exciting thing for us. And I don't care if it's the election season that's happening, that's moving it forward. I'll take the wins, get them under the belt, and then hopefully we can move things forward as people start to understand this, because, again, Bitcoin's a great example of it, where, I have people like kids' friends' parents, my kids' friends' parents who 12 months ago were saying like, Bitcoin is fake money. What are you doing? I don't see why we need this thing, to now seeing 70% gains on ETFs in like a 6-month period of time or less, saying, hey, you know what? Like, maybe there's something there. Like, how do I get into this thing? And it's only a matter of time until ETH ETFs and allocations of portfolio and crypto becomes the next sector of the S&P 500. And so I love seeing that direction. And I think that trickles down and that drives to all sorts of different sectors. And, people need to remember, we are a niche group of people, crypto, in a niche area, Web3 within crypto and NFTs, in a niche platform within X. And we are a small subsect, but that's what happens is these large mega sections, as banks go into it, start to like trickle down these other subsections, and you start to see communities form in different ways. And I think what Brad was saying is certainly part of that. Let's hit the Y7 account, GM.
GM, pretty great spaces, a lot of alpha being shared. I like what Frank had to say about the Solana meme coin kind of being a good example of SoFi today. And just a little bit more curious on certain indicators you look for when because when something's going viral, how do you gauge how viral it could go? If you're not going for the bigger plays, right? You're looking for something more consistent, something more maybe base hit like. How do you gauge when it's getting too big or what's going to make it go more viral?
I go pretty in depth on this. The short answer is you're really not like trying to gauge virality as much as you are trying to gauge if it's a good buy at the market cap in which it's at. And so in the guide that's kind of attached here, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, I wrote something in its own page because it requires you to go this in depth. I call it like a cheat sheet, but it kind of just breaks down what factors you want to look at based on the market cap of the meme coin itself. So something that's a great meme at like 60K market cap, like $60,000, might not be as great of a meme at 500,000 market cap because people might be less interested in buying it because there's a limited upside there. And so I actually don't think you look at it as a factor virality. I more use the word virality as a way to describe how it spreads amongst many different, Telegram chats, like literal, virality in terms of just peer-to-peer sharing. But I think you really like have to base it on the market cap because it's every person who's buying a meme coin is doing some degree of a risk reward calculation. Sometimes your numbers are really off. So here's a fun fact for everyone in the audience today. How many meme? I'm gonna ask Steve and Captain this right now. Actually, how many meme coins today do you think are over $1 billion? Like, what do you think the number is of meme coins that are over $1 billion?
I'll guess 10.
I was gonna say, like, depending on how we define meme coins, I was gonna guess 7 to 10 actually was about my number.
Yeah, it's about 10. That's actually pretty good. When I talked to some of my boys, they're like, "Oh, dude, 40." Because the reason why is because you hear in every chat or in every new coin that everyone's in, they're like, "Oh, it's gonna go to $1 billion." But this is actually a relatively rare occurrence, within the meme coin world. And so I think sometimes people's numbers are skewed. And the sharps in the market that are typically moving the market do not have skewed numbers, and they have a relatively good understanding of where things can cap out at or go. But then the joke is if you think if you want to sell a coin at $1 million, you're gonna say that it's gonna go to $3 million, so that everyone knows this. This is like everybody fucking knows this. Yo, guys, it's going to 100 ETH floor price. In reality, you really wanted to get to like 40 ETH or whatever it is, or same thing with meme coins, guys going to 5 mil, 10 mil, but you really wanted to just get to 1 fucking mil so you can full stack it later or whatever. And so I think people's like numbers is a better place to anchor, what you're judging the meme coin on, because then you're gonna have a more realistic take. So in the guide itself, I kind of break down, like, for example, on Solana, one thing I've noticed with the low cap meme coins is around the 300K price range, and this number shifts. I need to update the guide because in the last week and a half, I think things have shifted pretty dramatically. But around 300K, is when now it can no longer just be spread by the Telegram chats. It should have a good Twitter, because you kind of start to run out of buyers that are like buying that are in the Telegram trenches, and now you need to go to Twitter to find new buyers and new people that want to get in, or to create validation that this thing can get bigger. So around 300K, you might be looking closer towards, hey, like, where are the next set of buyers coming in from? Where from 60K to 120K, you're just thinking, is this going to graduate pump.fun? And so I think your evaluation just varies based on the market cap that these low cap meme coins are at. And then at the larger cap, you're basically looking at what is the viability that this is going to get listed and do the exchange circuit, the exchange listing circuit.
Well, and the other thing you said about like people being sharper, like the sharps knowing the information. So first of all, great tactical advice and like strong answer. The other thing you say about like, the sharps that know, you may not know, the sharps know, right? It's like people have to realize that there are people like Bunchu with betting who is going out there and firing into the opportunities on the line. There are people out there like Cap who's out here tossing out, 57 daily fantasy lineups and looking for under-owned people or not even watching baseball while he banks on daily fantasy against people who know baseball inside and out because he's sharp at the game. And understanding it's like, the old poker phrase that like, if you can't spot the mark at the table, you're the mark. It's like just knowing like what that advantage and that edge is and understanding where you exist. Like I am very realistic about the things that I am good at and the things that I'm not good at. It's one of the reasons why I talk about even with interviewers. Like I have my own interview style. I enjoy it, but I watch, Thread Guy or whoever, like, we talk about different, Nick, all these different types of interviewers to see how I can get better. Carly Riley, right? Like how I can be better because they have an edge in certain areas and understanding where people are sharp and where they're not and having that self-awareness is important and having that eyes wide open mentality because it's not always going to be easy. Everything's not going to cook. And you need to know when you're going into something, who are the sharp people, who are the money who are playing it better than you are, and where do you fit into that equation? And it's okay to not be the sharpest person in the room, but understanding that those exist and understanding the principles and the rules of the game with eyes wide open, I think is a huge thing. So, Cap, any thoughts on that or anything else? I know we're kind of rounding around to the 10 o'clock hour, but any other thoughts on that or anything else you want to hit on this morning before we get ready to kind of like wind down?
Just one quick one on this topic, not exactly related, but tangentially. And then I did see Brett's hand flew back up, but I dropped it in the chat. Also threw it up above. If you're not familiar with Jonathan Bales, his X handle is Bales Bets. Not only was that I read some poker books and yeah, I got it. Like I read Doyle Brunson's Super Systems and you should read that and just gain the skills, right? I think that's the biggest takeaway from unpacking this entire conversation with Frank this morning. Go paper trade. Like you don't have to be a whale. You don't even have to have any crypto funds to start learning this process. There is put in your 10,000 hours, you'll stumble into an opportunity. It requires a mindset shift. And for me, it was, yeah, I'd read the poker books and I got it. It made sense, but I didn't take action. There was something missing. And for me, it was reading some of Jonathan Bales' early works. He has a couple books. I think his first one was like DFS for smart people. I had such an ego at that time. I thought he wrote it for me. I kid. But it is a really good book. It's a little dated now. Like the tactics are dated, but the principles still hold true. And I think that's I just want to double down on that. These principles, like these have held true for decades. Like it's not just meme coins. It is any area where you're hunting EV, you're chasing asymmetric returns. It's so important to understand these principles, to understand bet sizing, unit size, to understand proper bankroll management, like to understand that you're going to get it in and it's the right play 90% of the time. And you're still going to take some L's on those. Don't stop playing because you took an L. Just trust the process. Don't be result focused, be process focused and start learning some of this stuff. Get active in the trenches. And in closing, yeah, if you're not following Bales, I'd strongly recommend it. I don't know how much content he's putting out there now. I think like Lucky Maverick blog is still in play. Lucky Trader, by the way, our friend Tyler did it. Bales and Peter Jennings, who's a punk, they were the founders of the founding group of Lucky Trader. So they're in the space. And actually it was Bales' article on NBA Top Shot, like January 15th of 2021. He and a few others bought a Ja Morant moment for $35,000. That's what onboarded me into Web3 and NFTs. That's what onboarded me into Top Shot. So my respect for Bales and these, like, I didn't know all this stuff. I had to be taught this stuff that Frank just shared with all you. Don't if this was the first time you're hearing some of this, go back and re-listen to this recording today. Shout out to Payne, our producer. He'll get the recording out on podcast if you want to listen to, like 1.5x or 2x playback. But this, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. This, understanding this this alpha is far more important than what ones to pick, whether it's memes or NFTs. Like understanding this and these tactics, these strategies, this will lead to success in whatever path you choose in this space. I believe it's just if you don't, you could pick right and find yourself bust and be out of the space if you don't deploy some of this. And I've been there, right? Like my early DFS, like I had a few wins and then I saw bankroll bleed away because it's like it's human nature, I think. To as you get better and you start booking some wins, you gain more confidence, you increase your bet size, and before you know it, you've got 50% of your bankroll in play any one day, or people will go all in on any one play, and you just no one bats 1,000 here. And I think embrace those L's and move on to the next one. It's much easier to do if you're getting into a position with 5% of your bankroll you have in play.
Well, and you want to talk about someone who's in it for the love of the game. Peter Jennings, you mentioned, co-founder, Lucky Trader, like brilliant, DFS guy. He cooked me in a 1v1 $3 DFS head-to-head matchup. And it's like, what are you doing in this $3 streets? This is not where you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be cooking me up in this thing. This is where the freaking, but that's how you know he's in it for the love of the game. This dude probably plays like, they put a 45K or whatever you just said, 15K Ja Morant moment. These people are doing just fine. They don't need to be on the $3 streets. Let me have this with my meatball strategies. Don't try. So yeah, I remember I got absolutely torched by him with this really weird lineup. And I'm like, God damn, why does he even come down to my levels? Ridiculous. But let's go back to Joey and then Bread. And then, yeah, we'll see if maybe we wind down from there. Joey, get in here.
I forgot.
Brett, get in here.
Yeah.
I remember, Steve. It's 10 o'clock. Go reveal your boxes.
Oh, dope. Yes, I will. I got to reveal my colony boxes in a hot minute. So I will certainly do that.
But that's not Joey. What I was going to say. I really legit forgot, but then I saw it was 10 o'clock.
Perfect. Yeah, no, love that. I'll do that shortly after. Brett, get in here.
Yeah. Shout out the colony for sure. But I think it's important, like what you brought up, Steve, is that definitely we were just talking about, graduating from pump.fund to Radium. And then once it hits this certain market cap, it'll go to these other exchanges and all these things. And it was just PTSD from OG NFT days where it's well, if we do this much volume in the first 24 hours, we'll trend on Icy Tools and then it'll come up here and all this stuff. And so really look at the stuff, just words of advice to everyone, don't just FOMO into things because it has a low market cap or because it just graduated pump.fund, because 9 times out of 10, there's things happening behind the scenes and there's wallets that are anonymous and there's, a lot of things that can happen that may look organic that genuinely are not organic. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware that not just, it's just about to graduate pump. Let me throw into this now, because as soon as it does, it'll hit Radium and then it'll hit, it'll be on Dex Screener and all these different things, dude. It's there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes and everyone should just be aware of that.
Yeah, I think the TLDR of that is keep your head on a swivel. You know what I mean? Keep your head on a swivel, keep your eyes wide open, make sure you know what you're doing. Be responsible, and it's okay to have fun. It's okay to approach it that way if you know exactly what you're going in and why you're doing it. And that's the biggest takeaway is keep your head on a swivel, be smart about it, but don't get yourself lost in the sauce too hard, because you can, as Cap mentioned, we've all been there. We've all, I've been there. In my poker days, I remember when they introduced blackjack to party poker, and I was really good at poker, and I was really bad at blackjack, and I've gotten better at it since. But I was like, oh, blackjack, sweet, and I would lose my bankroll because I would have the gambler's fallacy of well, I'm going to win eventually, and it's you would put down a $5 bet, and then you would do a $10 bet, and then you do 2 hands at a $10 bet, and then you do a $25 bet. You get one cold streak, and you're like, the fuck happened? Oh man, I doubled down an 11 and I got a 2, and they had a 16, but then they got a 5 to 21, and it's you can lose real quick if you lose your head and you aren't smart and you're not keeping your head in. So we've all been there. We've all gotten wrecked. We've all minted too many of something in an NFT or bought too much of a meme coin and wrote it down. And so I think all of those things are something to be, very cognizant of. And that's the most important thing is understand your risk tolerance. And sometimes to find where the edge is, you have to go over it. I learned in that blackjack story I talked about that over the edge for me in blackjack was getting tilted and spending way too much money, doubling down. And I lost hundreds of dollars and lost my poker winnings for the day, which pay my rent. And I'm like, well, I went over the edge on this one. and I learned not to do it next time, right? And it's like the same way if someone's like, oh man, I don't drink gin, I get angry and get in fights. It's like, you went over the edge. You learned. You learn in life where those boundaries are. And sometimes it's one of the reasons I have high tolerance for my kids making mistakes and doing things that maybe some people are like, oh, like, I can't believe your kid did that. How bad did you punish them? Like, I didn't punish them. I talked to them about what they learned because they pushed the boundary against an edge. They found where that edge was, and there was a learning opportunity. Instead of me yelling at them and say, don't do that, I'm the arbiter of the world. Instead, it was like, hey, what'd you learn? You pushed to the edge, and sometimes you need to find yourself at the edge and go over it in order to know where that line is to cross. And so I think understand that could happen to you in any of these worlds, but do your best to learn from it, write it down, take a mental note, and survive from there. So look, that said, I know we're about 4 minutes over time. Really enjoyed the conversation this morning. Always love when we get an impromptu from our buddy Frank. It's always great when he stops by to share some of his thoughts and on the market. Always love it when he's chopping it up in spaces. And really enjoyed all the guest speakers today. Lady, Mackie, Bread, Joey. We had Y7 earlier. We had Shiba up here. Always good to get everybody's thoughts in the chat as well. A couple thoughts in the chat that we saw. I know Dave was talking a little bit about the NFTs. Maybe we'll get more into that tomorrow. Dort talking about being part of an NFT community and owning it to get full utility. We can totally dive more into that tomorrow. But I really like the direction we took that. As people know with this show, we want to take it the direction that the audience and the people on stage go, and sometimes that's not as planned. And so, sometimes we want to just change the subject and go through, and we love when those days happen. So thanks everyone who came by, stuck with us for the full 2 hours. We will talk to everybody. Guest Arculus on tomorrow to talk about a really cool hardware wallet that's completely different than anything I've ever seen. Going to be playing around with it tonight. I'll have a review tomorrow along with the people on the show. We will talk to everybody bright and early tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody.
This episode is brought to you by DGen Network, the only community-based Web3 media network, bringing you the very best content in the NFT and cryptocurrency space. Please visit dgen.network and check out our other great shows. That's DGen, DGEN.network.
Welcome to the future.